Can you guys hear me?
Not like a spite-driven move.
Can you guys hear me?
So you were complaining
Can
previously on this stream.
Can people hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah,
Can you still hear me right now or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can you still? I'm just testing my microphone. You can hear me still? Good. I'm testing. Can you still? Okay, loud and clear.
It works
Yes.
great.
Cool. Okay, so what's happening in here? What are we doing? Like what's up?
I'm asking.
We're in the middle of talking about the tweet.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Is that where you want to start, or maybe the two of us should start like fresh here, Def? Like, where do you want to start here?
I don't know. You just dropped in. What do you want to talk about?
Okay. So, what do I want to talk about, Def? Probably that you've been once again trying to slander me on social media as a way to silence me rather than engage intelligently in what we've been talking about.
Okay, so first off, let's break that down.
Sure.
How have I slandered you?
By heavily insinuating that I'm a
How was that insinuation made?
constantly through constant harassing tweets insinuating that I look like that quote tweeting, like, what were you saying, that you think I got famous on TikTok for quote unquote making jokes about children, saying that, well, I'm not done talking. I'm not done talking. So talking about how you're going to go live on the street, prime people by asking them in from a, and then of course you're going to edit it up so that you're only going to cherry pick the people who say, oh sure, and then make a slanderous video about me. You've been obsessed with me for no reason other than I can assume is that you saw that Ethan Klein said something nice about me, and you've been on a meltdown since that's like your guy. I don't know why. You're the one who you're the one who re-engaged this entire thing because somebody said Papa Gut owns you. And you decided to like come out here saying that you created my entire career, despite the fact that I blew up on like TikTok through. Hold on, I'm not done talking. Through my own own efforts, and now it's spiraled out of control to a point where you're mocking me getting emotional for expressing a situation where somebody told me about their violent rape. So like this whole angle where like what's going on? You've already outed yourself for not caring about assault survivors. So like where are we right now with this like ridiculous like slanderous fucking campaign? That's pathetic.
Hold up. There's a lot to unpack here. First off,
sure.
I had no idea that Ethan even complimented. Congratulations. I mean, what?
Cool. All right, let's move on. I don't really want to play the Let's Be Friends game. We tried this before and you spit on it. So let's move through that.
That's kind of weird. That's anyway. Congratulations on
cool.
that.
Next
I don't know
point.
why you would think that's like motivation.
Because you're obsessed with Ethan. That's your entire moral focus is what people think about you online and what Ethan Klein thinks about you. If you actually had a moral center, you wouldn't be going through this like ridiculous disinformation campaign about me.
So wait, I gotta understand what your thing with Ethan is, because that's like really weird.
I know that you're trying to change the whole framing to make it seem like I'm obsessed with Ethan, but we all know that you're very much obsessed with what he says and thinks. Because I can't explain any other reason for you to have an absolute unhinged meltdown for a week obsessing about me as a content creator.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When you run your business, do you base your business decisions on someone else?
No, because I'm not a bad businessman.
Okay, so there's your answer.
That's an answer for me. Because why did you decide to engage in this weird 1 week long slander campaign against me completely unprompted?
So let's go back. Let's see. How many videos have you made about me in the last 7 months?
In total, I counted today. I made 21 videos about you. Overall, these videos, rather, our first, we're not moving past the point. Overall, these videos consist of you, first of the time, trying to actively slander me, as well as a couple of ones in defense of you, and then again with this situation of you slandering me. You talking about how I made a lot of videos when you consistently post on Twitter about me. Just because you put it on Twitter and don't make it a YouTube video doesn't mean you're not making a response to me. This is a really, really shallow and pathetic attempt to try to make it seem like I'm obsessed with you when you were the one re-engaging this whole thing, and you have for a week been obsessed and hyper focused on trying to destroy my credibility just like you did the first time. The only difference is nobody thinks that you're serious. Nobody takes you seriously enough for it to have any real impact, and now you're doubling back because there's nothing else for you to do because nobody agrees with you. Your platform is going away because you're unjustifiably targeting me and invalidating sexual assault survivors. And now you realize you fucked up because the act of you pretending to care about people has gone away. That's what's happening right now.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, you keep saying that, so unpack it.
So
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, Dennis, you're saying, like, you know, it was a joke. Like, I've been on here for, what, 5 hours now? So you're saying, like, you know, it was a joke and everything. And let's say, you know, Papa Gut has expressed that these things actually hurt him, like, you know, A, B, and C. So even though you thought it was a joke or whatever.
Well, I honestly
would you
don't.
still-
I gonna be. I respect you and everything for coming in here. I don't want to run defense to try to make Dennis seem as charitable as possible. If we deter from the conversation of me pushing him on his bullshit, it's gonna make him come out in a way that he feels. I know,
Wait,
but
is
we're
that an honest
we're
question?
we're no 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 we're
Question?
listen. We're in a one-on-one. I don't want anybody fielding for me. I don't want anybody fielding for Dennis. This is a way to.
Okay, all right,
I would really like to just kind of get back to the point with myself and Dennis. This is one of the reasons why I didn't want to do this, because I kind of knew that something like this was going to happen. It's me and Dennis, so I want to stick to the point.
Okay. I was just saying, would Dennis consider apologizing? Jeez, all right. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Aren't you the one that
but
said
that's
that
how it would've
Gabby
started.
wishes she was raped.
I don't know what
Gosh,
that's
you knew.
about, but I want to get. So where were we? What is a lot to unpack? Let's keep on the point.
So first off, it seems like you're very heated. Maybe take a, you know.
Dennis, this is what it's like when somebody is just blunt with you. That's not. I'm a little heated, I suppose. I'm being blunt and direct, and I'm not being charitable like I was to you in the last conversation. Please stop trying to prime your audience to make it seem like I'm having an unhinged emotional reaction, despite the fact that for the past week that was what you were doing. Please stay on the point and stop trying to play this bullshit game with me, because it's very disingenuous. It's very shallow, and everybody's gonna see right through it. So let's stick to the point about what's been going on.
Okay. Are you gonna let me talk though?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, take a drink.
You're
Relax.
continuing to do it, but okay.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot that was just said. Honestly, we've diverted away from it. My friend just brought my dogs back. So just re-enlighten me. What do you want me to talk about right now?
Well, Dennis, you're the one that seems like you want to make some kind of, I guess, apology. I was told that you wanted me to pop in here, so I wanted to see what you had to say.
wanted to talk to you about it because there's clearly been some kind of, misunderstanding, right?
Sure. What's the
So
misunderstanding?
You made 21 videos about me in the last few months.
Yeah, in the
you
last since our
have-
initial engagement, so for about a year. Sure.
So for the last 7 months, I guess.
Sure.
Would you say that you've been, as charitable as possible with the way that you've responded to my statements?
100%. Yeah, I've been as contextually
So-
accurate as possible on every single time I've covered you.
In
Yeah.
the video, the very first video where you reacted to, where you took sides with Keemstar about the,
I didn't take sides
the-
with Keemstar. I took sides with a child that was dying of cancer that you rolled over because you
Okay,
hate
so
Keemstar
here's the
so
thing.
much. You wanted to reframe this narrative. I don't really particularly
let me
care for
talk?
Keemstar, but there's times where he gets it right. And again, your refusal to acknowledge that at the expense of a young girl's dying wish is pathetic. I really don't want to talk about that scenario because it's a fucking disrespect to that young girl who passed away. But if you really want to talk about this, sure, we can. It has nothing to do with Keemstar. I don't side with Keemstar. Every single time I engage with Keemstar in a conversation, it is in disagreement of a topic. So this whole idea of you trying to attach me to him to lazily walk past the point is very disingenuous.
Okay, so I mean, at some point I have to be able to conclude a thought, otherwise it's
Go
going to
ahead.
be very hard conversation. Okay, 21 videos. The first video that you ever made about me, you said you were charitable about me.
Sure.
In my coverage. So I'm going to the very first video because that's something I noticed because it was something that somebody sent to me. It was my introduction to you, right? So
Sure.
in that scenario, did you ever reach out to Sniper Wolf to get her side of the story?
No, everything was pretty clear. The mother released all the documents. It was like 3 days of her
Cool.
stalling.
Well,
Sure.
I did. I spoke to her.
Wow,
I spoke to
that's
her.
good.
I got her side of the story. I saw what was happening. She told me exactly why she was having issues with getting in touch with a girl, and she eventually got in touch with a girl.
Yeah, well, she had issues because she was blocked for
So-
ignoring her and then tried to
Okay.
double back on it.
Let me just finish. One of your major criticisms in that video of me was that I demonetized my video and that I should have just taken the money and donated it.
No, that's not my
However-
no, that wasn't my criticism. That
However-
wasn't my criticism of your video. That wasn't my criticism of your video. We're not. You can finish after.
Finish.
That's not your criticism because you're trying to get away with bullshit.
Well,
My
you're
criticism
not
was that you
letting-
no. You can move on after I make the
You're
point.
not letting-
My criticism wasn't that you
Possible.
demonetized the video. My criticism was that you made sure you told everybody that you demonetized the video to try to make it seem like you were more morally and right, like virtuous and righteous. If I remember correctly, I don't care if you monetize it or demonetize it. That doesn't matter.
So here's
If
the
I
thing,
even
though.
made that criticism.
Let me go back. Let me just circle back to that because it's
Mhm.
very important that you made that criticism because in your criticism,
Mhm.
you said that I should have just monetized the video. You said that you yourself would have taken money in that situation, which is totally fine. Do your thing. However,
Yeah.
you never acknowledged that I had a fundraiser next to the video that I raised, I think, about $1,500, which is way more than I could have made in that video. Also,
Okay.
at
I mean, I
one
doubt
point,
that I didn't
you
acknowledge
opened-
that.
you
So
open at one point you open her GoFundMe and it pops up on your screen that I'm the top donation on her GoFundMe, which
Wow.
I donated money to her before I even made the video, and you close it really quickly as soon as you see my name. So that was one
that's just
thing
sad.
that
That's.
seemed
I mean, I
very-
just doubt that's correct. It sounds like you're desperately trying to
Go back
reframe
to
this.
the video.
This is what you tend to do: is you disingenuously reframe things. If I remember correctly to this situation,
This is going to be
Wha-
impossible to talk. if you're
because.
talking-
Okay, continue, Dennis, and then I'll respond. Go ahead.
So you did that. That was my first impression of
I
you.
didn't do that, but okay.
That was my first impression of you. You did that. You can go back. People can go back right now to the video and watch it.
Sure, go
Watch
ahead.
it. It's on video.
Watch it. You should
Okay?
watch that video. But that's
So-
not a true framing of what happened.
So it comes up. I'm the top donation.
Great.
Close it real quick, and you never acknowledged it that I actually donated, and you continue your point that I'm virtue signaling, that that I actually don't care about the situation.
Mhm.
That here I am. I actually talked to the person who was the center of the story. I got her side.
Well, she's not,
You,
but
on the other
okay.
hand, never got her side. You took Keemstar. In fact, the title of your video is "Keemstar was right."
Yes, because he
That's
was
the title
right.
of your video. Yeah.
So,
you took
okay.
Keemstar's side, and that's why I framed it like that. That's why I said,
Mhm.
"Oh, you took Keemstar's," because your title is literally "Keemstar was right." So
Yeah.
you told me that you were charitable to me in my coverage. So I want to know from you,
Sure.
why did you not mention that I raised $1,500 for cancer charities, and that I also donated $500, and it popped up on your screen, and you closed it? And why did you not acknowledge that in your video and keep painting me as a person who was just trying to virtue signal?
Okay. So first and foremost, I haven't watched it in a while. I guarantee you that's not the framing of the situation. This whole idea that I would try to hide that you donated, absolutely not. I don't remember the specifics. I know that you had a donation tab at the right, but a lot of content creators play this game where they say, I'm going to demonetize my video and do a charity. It's not a bad thing. And then I talked about how it would be more effective, generally speaking, to leave your monetization on and then donate that money. I don't absolutely at all remember shitting on you for that. I focus very heavily on the
No,
store.
you did.
I focused very heavily. I focused very heavily on the story. I guarantee you, I talked about the fundraiser. So I don't really know, like, what you're reframing something. It just didn't happen the way that you're saying it, and now
Yeah.
you're trying to assert that
Go back
as
to
a
the
way to
video
shoot my
when it
credibility
comes to
down because you don't want to talk about what's going on currently.
People can go back and be the judge of that.
Please do.
I'm taking this step by step. You want to talk about how we got to this point?
Sure.
You have to understand where I'm
Right, but
coming
it'd be nice if you were
You can't
honest
just
about your
paint-
framing of the situation.
You can't just paint. The video's there. People can
Yes,
watch.
you should
come
watch
to
the
their own-
video because I know that I didn't do what you're saying that I did.
So what you're telling me is that then you didn't do the research necessary to even see that I was a top donation, which shows up. On
Why
screen.
if it shows up on the screen and I showed it in my video, then how are you trying to say that I hit it? I just
So-
like this doesn't make any sense.
You framed me as a person, dishonest person who was just seeking to.
I framed you as a
And yet you
person.
didn't-
I
that's
framed you
just
as somebody
right.
who was so obsessed with Keemstar and being disagreeable with him that you completely ignored the context of the situation of this mother continuously trying to reach out after Sniper Wolf agreed that they would have like a little one-on-one FaceTime type of a thing for multiple days, making up multiple excuses, even though she was out to eat and all this other nonsense. And then once she was blocked by the mother, then all of a sudden
So-
Keemstar
How
talked
are
about it, and that's when Sniper Wolf did the right
You didn't
thing.
talk to- You didn't talk to her.
I don't need to
How do you
talk.
know
I don't
those
need
are
to
the
because the mother released all of her information. We saw all the DMs. I don't need to talk to the person who's doing the bad thing that's going to be reframing it in a way that makes it seem like she did the right thing. I don't. That's called a biased source. You talk to a biased source. I looked at it, the objective facts of the DMs, the times between the DMs, all the excuses Sniper Wolf made. That's what I look at. I don't need to go to the source. That's insane that I would have to go to the liar, Sniper Wolf, in this situation to get the real information.
So you're telling me that when you cover a story, you don't try to get all sides of it.
Dennis, I'm telling you that all the information we needed was available, and Sniper Wolf doesn't need to be asked about the situation to know the objective truth of her dodging the situation based on the leaked DMs. If the DMs are fake, then you got me. But if they're not fake, which nobody has said, I have the information I need.
Do you consider yourself an unbiased person?
I am as unbiased as a person I think can be.
Okay. And now, however, you just said that you didn't want to get somebody's side in a story.
You're harping on this point. The objective truth was out there with the DMs. We don't need to get her side of the story other than a reframing from her perspective to make her look as good as possible. We should move on to the next point because we're just going to go circular. We're just going to go circular on this. I disagree. I have the objective. I already had the DMs. That's the truth. Let's move on to the next topic because you're trying to harp on this so that you don't have to talk about how you invalidated sexual assault survivors. So let's move forward.
I can talk about it all you want. You don't want to admit that you're
cool.
That you're unbiased. However, you literally just admitted that you don't want to get all sides of the story. You also said that you were charitable to me. However,
okay, Dennis.
You never mentioned the fact that I essentially raised $2,000.
You're right. I just showed it on my stream. I didn't mention that at all. I just showed it on my stream. You're right. Can we move on to the next point? Let's move on to the next point.
You said, okay, next point.
Sure.
And then there was the whole, the EB family.
The EB family, when they leveraged a fake, like they tried to call a 17-year-old boy a rapist, a predator, and pedophile for trolling a girl inappropriately, of course, but they had a disproportionate response and tried to deplatform him because he made a mistake. So you want to talk about that, how that you avoided that whole part? I tried to have a conversation with you about like the potential racist undertones of what the family was doing, the fact that they were intentionally over maturing him because they intentionally misrepresented his age in order to overprescribe punishment. We had that conversation. Doesn't mean they are racist, but there were a lot of racist undertones because I actually watched both of their full videos, which is something that I noticed a lot of commentary content creators don't really do, right? So that's what happened next, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened next. That was the video that you made your commentary about. I made my response. You made a response, and then we had the discussion. Well,
so you didn't just respond. You tried to slander me by calling like an incel. You tried to assert that I think it was funny that I liked to like a bunch of other shit, and then you desperately apologized.
And let's see, how is calling you an incel slanderous?
Dennis, you were calling me an incel. You suggested that I think it's funny when like young girls get hurt. Like you were saying a lot of like fucked up shit.
How is calling you an incel
slanderous? So Dennis, I talked about this. What you do in your videos is you prime a lot of people do this in general, but you prime cool. So what you do is that you prime your audience.
Don't change the subject.
Oh my God, I'm not changing the subject. No. Okay, Dennis, let's see. Disingenuous framing. Is that better? I will just drop the word slanderous. I don't feel like going on to this like side talk conversation because I know you're just trying to deflect.
We should define what slander is.
Okay, Dennis. So anyway, you had a very.
Dude,
oh my God.
Say something, please, for the love of God. Let's define what slander is because you've actually been titling some of your videos as slanderous.
Yeah.
So define what slander is to you, and maybe we'll find a definition where we can, I'll ask Alexa over here.
Okay, so slanderous, false and malicious, right? So your statements about me were objectively false, and we can only assume malicious based on your just the way that you operate because you're a very dishonest content creator. So yeah,
there's more to slander than just false.
That's just what came up when I googled the dictionary definition.
So the action or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. So tell me, how is being called an incel damaging to your reputation?
So Dennis,
how has it damaged your reputation?
Basically, at this point, it didn't because I'm not a small content creator. I'm very articulate, I know how to defend myself. But you could have rolled over anybody else, I was saying before. Yeah, I'm going to answer it.
The person's reputation.
Sure. So, like I was saying before, right? you engage, and a lot of people do this, but you engage in a very dishonest priming of your
So
audience
don't
based on
change-
we're doing it again. I'm definitely like explaining my point about how this would be considered slanderous. If you want to think that's a bit over a prescription of a thing, sure, fine. But you have dishonest framing to try to prime your audience against me, right? So again, what I was trying to say is the way that you title your videos is in a way where it's like Papa Gut's an incel. Papa Gut doesn't care about this, that, and the other thing. Suggesting that I think it's funny when like little girls get hurt. This is like when you in the first situation. Again, I'm still going. So that you were trying to get your audience to think I was some kind of like woman hating incel right off the bat that like people don't like and all this other stuff because you didn't want to like actually engage with what I was saying. And I was trying to have a nuanced discussion about a topic, right? This is why you came into the live saying, well, pretending to apologize because later on you just recently admitted it was all a joke just to call me an incel, more like a weirdo. So like this is where we're starting because you already like you pretended to apologize, but you've already admitted that it was disingenuous, right?
I get you want to get a lot off your chest, like, but this is gonna be, you gotta have some kind of conversation, otherwise it's just gonna be you yelling at me, like trying to interrupt it. Anyway, so just explain to me how calling someone an incel is a slanderous claim.
Sure. So like I was saying before, again, Dennis, if you think that the term slander is too loaded, I said about 4 times now.
No,
we can
don't redefine the conversation.
we can
Don't redefine the conversation. Just answer the question.
So Dennis, if you would, I will retract in this instance the word slander, but I will still hold to the fact that you had a very dishonest framing to try to pin me out as somebody who just instantaneously hates women and like can't have sex, I guess, is some kind of a virtuous win, right?
All right. So here we go. All right.
Okay, here we go.
Let's take a pause.
Mhm.
So, few points.
Sure.
You admitted to not doing research.
I never admitted to that at all.
You admitted to not doing research.
No, I
or
didn't.
seeing that I had made all the donations. You admitted
What are you talking about?
that you didn't reach out to Sniper Wolf and that you don't like to get both sides of the story. And now you just admitted to over sensationalizing something and then immediately taking it back. It's not slander. So those are 3 things.
Well, yeah, but all those are effectively lies,
Now, next.
and everybody's watching, so they know that
Please
you have a very
elaborate.
dishonest framing.
Please
But okay.
elaborate. How was it dishonest having incel in my title?
So Dennis, is more than just incel, right? It's the fact that you called me like an incel. You framed me as some kind of a woman hater so that you can dismiss my point. You went on like a whole tirade about like being fat, ugly, blah blah blah. It's a lot of different. Dennis, you apologized for this. I don't know why you're acting like this is coming out of left field.
Where did I say that?
In your videos, Dennis, this was your audience agreed that you had a very disingenuous framing.
Right? I didn't make 21 videos on you like you did on me. I made 1 video.
Well, yeah, because you like to use Twitter because you don't want to attach a YouTube video because for some reason you think that just because it's on Twitter doesn't mean it's around a response. It's bizarre.
Don't make excuses. Just own up to the fact.
It's not an excuse. That's a proper like framing of the situation because you are framing it incorrectly.
Fine. It's totally fine.
Sure.
It's fine. You can say that, but the truth is the truth. I made 1.
I know the truth is the truth.
Make it seem like it was more.
You just deleted like 15 tweets about calling me a pedophile, and you're acting like my number of videos was like overbearing. I call you out on other things as well, but this was this was an elongated situation originally because you kept trying to weigh your audience against me until you couldn't get away with it, and you were forced to apologize on stream.
Look.
Did that happen? Did you apologize to me on stream?
For anybody who's been here for
Did
the
you?
5 hours, for anybody who's been here for the 5 hours, they've heard me say a whole bunch of stuff.
I don't care about what was said when I wasn't here. It's irrelevant.
Hey, all right. Fine. I think that what people were saying before you joined was relevant, but it's fine if you want to discount it. That's up to you.
Cool.
Anyway, going back to the conversation, you said it was dishonest, or I just want to get full clarity on that.
Yeah.
Because you walked back the slander stuff, so
sure.
Please tell me, describe how that was dishonest.
Dennis, I've described it. I know that like you're really trying to like delay the point to get to where we need to go, which was you like I can call it insinuating heavily that I was a pedophile. I already made this
Bro,
point. You can just disagree, but I don't feel like going into a circular thing. You were being dishonest, and then you apologized for it in the live conversation. So I don't really have to do anything because within the first minute, you're like, I'm sorry. Then you made a video about how my career, I'm quitting YouTube, and it was another apology to me. Like, I don't really have to do this for this situation because you apologized for doing the wrong thing, which means that you admit, even if it was a dishonest apology, that you did these things, right? You admitted you did these things. You admitted you were wrong in that entire scenario. So what do I have to prove to the people who don't know what's going on? Because all you are doing is you're catering and pandering to people who are not going to sit through, and I understand why, a very elongated interaction. But the reality is there's a reason you apologize. And while it may not be because you're genuine and actually are apologetic, which you admitted recently, it's because your audience shit on you so hard and you lost so much credibility that you've been steamrolling out of control for the past 8 months or whatever since our interaction has happened.
Sure. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to, I guess, keep moving forward, since you want to get to the
Sure.
part where we've been discussing for the last 4 hours.
Wait, you want to skip past the racism part where you decided to boil down Tumet to just a black first person, took away his entire autonomy because he decided to, as a joke, have fun with Belle Delphine and dress up like Donkey Kong, and you pretended he was some kind of like he was being manipulated by the evil white girl about that. And so I called you out because you didn't even name him in the title. You boiled him down to a black person with no agency or autonomy, because that's a really weird one to move past, especially since when we tried to have our first conversation, you moved past the entire race argument when I was trying to talk about the Killick situation. You don't want to talk about that one? You want to move past that one?
We can have this conversation 100%.
Great.
We can have this conversation. It was, in fact, one of the almost 20-something videos you made about me.
Yes, 21.
So here's the thing. It's a clickbait title. In the video itself, anybody who watches the content will see that I don't even mention that.
Yes, you do. I watched it.
Watches the content notices that I don't mention it. It was a clickbait title.
You mentioned it. I watched the video.
Anybody who actually follows me sees that not only do I actively speak against racism and use my platform for that, but I also platform people from all different backgrounds.
Cool.
People on my podcast come from all different backgrounds.
Oh, wow. We're getting into the I have a black friend territory, which is probably not a great look. I could say I have black friends too, guys. I can't be racist. Are you kidding me? Do you know how in-depth and nuanced race issues are? Having a black friend doesn't mean you can't be racist. You talked about the situation. You explicitly talk about how Belle Delphine forced him to do this thing because Too Bad is just a black guy that can't make up his own decisions. You robbed him of his own agency as a person, boiled him down to his identity just so that you can make clickbait about how a black person was being oppressed when he wasn't. You talked about it in the video. I watched it.
Look, the fact that's immediately what you jump to says a lot about you.
It's not immediately. It's based off of like a conversation we've been having. I know you as a person.
More about having people from different backgrounds. I have Tiana, who is not black. She's from, she's Latina like me.
Okay, cool.
Okay? There are people from all different backgrounds that
That's
that I invite on my show, that I try to talk to. But if that's immediately what you wanted to go to, that is...
Well, Dennis, because you just lied to people. You just lied to people and said you didn't talk about Too Mad. You talked about it in the video. I watched the video. Are you trying to gaslight me or yourself at this point?
Look, I talked about the thing in the video. I didn't talk about it.
You just said that you didn't talk about it.
I didn't talk about it in the terms that you're framing it as.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Look, you're the bastion of honesty.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely not.
An absolutely dishonest way. The title was clickbait.
Watch the video.
The title was clickbait. It was pure clickbait. A lot of people talked about it. You weren't the only one.
Yeah.
Okay? But in the video itself, I don't repeat that same statement. I say his name. I say Too Mad.
Yeah.
So I'm trying
And then you said that he got forced into doing this thing and that it was a bad look for him in some capacity.
I never said that in the video.
Okay.
Never said that in the video. So that's just in the title because it's meant to be clickbait. Okay. That was it. Was it the best clickbait? No. Not every clickbait is the best. I'm trying my best to do what I can, and sometimes I fuck up. So that wasn't the best clickbait.
Sure.
Anyway, I mean, are you satisfied with the way that we just discussed the situation?
I'm absolutely satisfied. Don't worry, brother.
Great. So There are numerous other videos that you've made. You've been making constantly videos about me. You've been tweeting about me a whole lot.
You were the one tweeting about me, and then I responded to some of the tweets.
Well,
You said that you created me as a content creator. You remember that part?
What happened?
You remember you literally rehashed all of this by saying that you created, like, if you just decided to respond to what I had said in my videos, that would have been fine. But you like, for whatever reason, months later decided to be like, I created Papa Gut unprompted because some random person said that like Papa Gut and Kavos were cooler than you.
Talk about this because
Sure.
Here's the thing. I never said I created you. I said that people in the commentary community learned of you through our discussion. So
wow, incredible.
And it's actually true. You go back to their.
That's
if you want to go back and see how they reacted to what happened in our discussion, you will see that they say like, I don't know who this guy is, but here's the thing. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's just a dishonest framing of the entire situation. You had an unhinged meltdown.
What did I say?
You said you said nobody would know who Papa Gut is in commentary had I not given him crumbs. Nobody would. Nobody. Hold on. Let me go. Nobody would have known who Papa Gut is in commentary had I not given him crumbs by doing a debate with quotations, whatever. Hold on. I'm not. It's not finished. With the sole. Hold on. With the sole. Hold on. No, not done. With the sole purpose of calling him an incel to his face and laughing about in his face. This is a suggestion that you somehow created me. People already knew who I was. Now I'm going to be honest with you because of how. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Wait a second. Wait a second, please. Wait a second. I never said I created you in that tweet. I said nobody in commentary would know who you are.
Well, that's objectively false, though, because like a lot of people already knew who I was in commentary.
Okay. Maybe I didn't know. Maybe I didn't know.
Maybe you were just trying to engage in like a poor framing.
I didn't know who you are, so maybe I was wrong.
So this was just like an honest mistake that like you weren't showing that you're crumbs of cloud for Papa Gut, poor Papa Gut, and that you weren't trying to dunk on me in the original debate where you got plastered unintentionally, by the way.
Am I dunking on you?
You say that you only went and had the conversation with me to call me an incel to my face and laugh about it.
Jeez, this is like crazy.
I know.
Is it possible for someone to be a mediator? I'm sorry, but is it possible for someone to be a mediator?
No.
Yes.
Continue. Like, I know just because Dennis is saying that like he's getting an unfair shake doesn't mean that he is.
Can somebody please be
No, we're not doing mediator. So continue what you wanted to say, Dennis. This is why I want to do one-on-one. I'm not having Keemstar do it. I do not want to have Keemstar be the mediator. Def, continue with what you wanted to say.
Nicholas, you want to? Can you be the mediator?
This is so
Can I
pathetic.
replace Papa Gut instead?
Dennis, just so you know, he's live streaming this.
Yeah, I figured. I figured he would.
Because this is like, I know Papa Gut's trying to get it across, but it's like, this is like, you need a mediator because this isn't.
Oh my lord. This is one of like the really big problems with this being like a live thing. There really doesn't need to be a mediator. I'm not talking over Dennis in this way that you think I am. I'm calling him on his bullshit without him letting me steamroll. I've talked to him before.
In his defense, which I don't usually say often, this is really going nowhere. It's just like you're putting out 6 paragraphs and then Dennis responds to the first one and then we get bogged down by like 6,000 more paragraphs.
Okay, so go ahead, Dennis. Because he's I mean, like, not for nothing, but like it's a live lying about everything that he's saying. So I'm just calling him on his shit.
Can we all agree? Nick is somewhat of an impartial mediator. Can he be the mediator?
Yeah, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, Nick, please mediate.
Okay, sure. Can we try to get on something that's a little bit more relevant than like...
Well, listen, the framing of the conversation is where Def wanted to start. We're pretty close to the point that we're trying to get to, so why don't we just continue going through the chain of events? If this is the way that he wanted to operate in it.
I'll stop you guys if this keeps going into the weeds.
Okay, so where were we?
I was reading the tweet to you that you had made about how you got my career started.
So nowhere in the tweet, I mean, it's pretty evident. You read the tweet. Nowhere in the tweet does it say that I made you. It says that nobody in the commentary community would know who you are. And that was my impression. If you're telling me otherwise, then that is fine. I had the wrong impression, I guess. Maybe it's the people that I knew who didn't know you. I don't know what it is. But I mean,
so what was the intention of the tweet then?
Just to fill in context there, because hi, commentary community here. We knew Papa Gut because he reacted to a lot of our videos. There's probably no way you would have known that, Dennis. But I definitely remember bitching about Papa Gut specifically for that reason before this.
So what's the
again, I
but
don't
what's the
think it's
intention of
really
the tweet then? What was the point of you trying to say the tweet?
I don't know. I was saying something tongue in cheek, replying to somebody who has no followers. I don't know how that's a dunk. You thought it was a dunk?
Well, no, I didn't think it was a dunk. I think that it was you trying to say that like, you created me as a cope because like your career is spiraling out of control because of the way that you've been acting and people have been seeing the real who you are.
Let me see if I understand this correctly. So you're saying that because my career is spiraling out of control, the only thing that I have left in my career is to claim your success. That's what you're saying.
No, I think that you have a grudge against me because we can probably directly see like a lot of people realize like the bad person you are from our first interaction, and now you like hold a grudge against me for that reason. Yeah.
So why do you think I'm a bad person?
Because of the way that I see you interact, I don't think that you are genuine in general. I think that you can directly point to the fact that you
why
don't see
do you think I'm not genuine?
Well, Dennis, because I see you talk about social issues, like when it comes to like women's issues, and then laugh at somebody who is getting emotional over listening to a traumatic rape story.
So you think that a person has to be 100% serious? They can never crack jokes. If they're
I
serious.
think
or
that
if they're cracking jokes,
Mhm.
they're only cracking jokes. They can never go and be different.
Okay, so two things. First and foremost, the cracking jokes. Like I make a lot of jokes on my platform as well. I don't make jokes about like I don't laugh at people who are expressing like real traumatic situations. That I don't think is funny. Do you think that that's funny?
You're
Like,
saying you've never done.
What I'm saying is
You're
I
saying-
don't do that. I
Go
don't.
through all your videos right now. They can go through every single. You haven't done that in like the last month.
I have
Somebody can go
never.
through the
I've
last-
never personally laughed at somebody's trauma.
There isn't a single instance of you doing
You
that.
could probably talk about the B family girl when I initially had like that bad reaction where I thought she was being disingenuous, and then after people said I think that you're
so
wrong.
you're saying now you're backtracking.
Well,
and
not
you're
really
saying that
backtracking. I'm talking about a failure that I made as a content creator and very quickly owned up
Okay,
to it. While you're
but
still
you're
sitting here,
literally-
while you're still sitting here pretending like you didn't do a bad
But
thing.
You see how that's contradictory? You see how that's contradictory? Because you just said you're trying to hold me to a standard that not even you can hold yourself to.
Dennis,
So
do you,
this
are,
is
do
what
you,
you're
are
saying.
you
No, no,
apologizing?
I'm exploring the hypocrisy of Papa Gut right now.
No, not
Because you're
really.
you're trying to hold me to a standard that you just admitted you can't hold yourself to.
No, I didn't.
So help me understand why it is that you can laugh at a young girl's trauma, but I can't do what I do for a living.
So in instance number one where I had laughed at her trauma, right? It was really shitty. The reason I did is because if you look at it from a real world perspective, nobody's going to have a trauma from somebody talking shit about you to their brother when you don't even hear it. I failed to account for the fact that it went viral.
Wait, how do you know
I'm
that?
literally in the middle of this conversation. Because she wouldn't know about it. That's why, because this is like shit talking. It's wrong, but you wouldn't develop a trauma from shit talking indirectly.
So wait,
I'm not okay,
hold
Dennis.
on, because it's a little contradictory.
Not
because-
really. It's
Sure.
you
Hold
were
on.
begging for a moderator, and now you won't let me speak.
Def Noodles talk.
How? Wait! I'm in the middle of answering his question, and now you're moderating as if I need to let him finish, but he's interrupting me, which I would be fine with. But you guys begged for a moderator. I don't understand the framing of this situation. I'm in the middle of answering his question of how is this not hypocritical. So I'm now defining both instances. This is if you. I'm fine with the back and forth, but like I've let him speak, and now you want to cut me off because he wants to cut. You guys aren't doing a very good job moderating. So what's the point here?
So 1 second, okay? 1 second. So you just said that you laughed at her because of her trauma, and yet you went so far I forgot what the point was. But you said you were talking about so what's the difference between her trauma and you laughing at her versus you? I think you made a video I didn't watch. I didn't watch it. I saw a clip of it where you talked about your situation, talking about someone else's experience. But here's the thing: you're a secondary source in that experience, and she's a primary. So you're literally laughing at a victim and then talking about standing up for victims. So help me understand that.
Yeah, I was going to. Can I actually talk? Because I was in the middle of doing that when you cut me off, and then we got off the track. So let me start over again, right? First and foremost, the difference is that I'm apologetic and you're still doubling down. Second of all, in this instance, right, we have the situation of this girl being indirectly, somebody's talking shit about her. Now, in the real world, she would never have heard that, and it wouldn't be a source of trauma because you can't be traumatized if you don't hear something. However, I failed to account for the fact that it was made public and she's now the center of all this attention that she doesn't want about her and her body. So that was me acting inappropriately, and then almost instantly after I was called out for that, instantly after I was called out, said, you know what, that was actually really wrong, right? That's owning my mistake. Scenario number two, in scenario number two, I make a video that you claim that you didn't watch, which, by the way, it's really weird that you're commenting on a video that you didn't watch, but in a video where I'm expressing how somebody very close to me, a very intimate story that I'm very tired of having to explain, but anyway, but you should have seen it already. An intimate story about somebody that I love very much, expressing to me a violent rape trauma, about how my initial reaction was to get angry and saying, I want to hurt this person. And then her saying, are you okay? Which really fucked me up, because now I'm unintentionally personalizing this story, which makes me really upset. And then moving on after hearing these horrific things that she told me, asking me if she was actually raped. That doesn't mean that I'm traumatized, but it's invalidating of that person's trauma to continuously, even after people have explained to you the context, for you to be doubling down and saying it's just a joke. Why? That's the entire context.
I want to understand again.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I remember, when you were talking about the EB girl, you repeated it a little bit earlier. You said that bullying online wouldn't cause her trauma, the type of bullying.
That's not what I said. I literally did not say that.
I
literally didn't say
the exact quote, because as far as I remember,
this is really embarrassing. Literally 30 seconds ago. This is the third time I'm explaining this. I don't know if you actually don't understand what I was saying, or if you're being dishonest, because this is an insane gaslight. Can I explain it again, or would you like to continue to call me?
Let me say something, because now you're throwing.
You just asked me. Okay.
So, okay, this is what I remember you saying
30 seconds ago.
You said it. You may have not said it just a minute ago, but you said it like a few minutes ago, where you said. And I even asked you, said you can't be traumatized from being bullied online. I asked you.
That's not what I said.
And you said no, you took it back. Okay, so that's fine.
I never said you can't be traumatized from being bullied online.
You can go back and watch the video.
So can I reframe this correctly?
I want to understand your lack of charitability, because this was like 4 or 5 months ago.
No. I'm not playing this game. No. Reference you mocking me for expressing a rape trauma. I want you to stop trying to go back in time. We're on this point. No, talk about this 5 months ago nonsense. Comment directly on what you said. Are you apologetic, or do you still think it's funny to mock personal rape victims?
I'm getting there.
We're already there.
If you don't let me talk, then I can't make my point, and you're just talking over me the whole time. So here's the thing. 5 months ago, you literally just admitted that you laughed at this girl's trauma. You laughed at it.
Yeah, and then I apologized immediately.
Now, that's fine that you apologized. Now you're piggybacking off of someone else's trauma, so that you can drum up sympathy for yourself.
Dennis, Dennis, no, because I don't want to move past this point, because this is really something. Dennis, have you ever Dennis, have you ever loved somebody before?
Nicholas.
Oh, Nicholas,
yeah, man, I don't fucking know.
No, don't. This is like a really dishonest thing. No, Dennis, this is a really good question. Have you ever been in love before?
Okay, look, let me finish.
Dennis, do you think that if somebody that you loved told you that they were violently raped, that you would go, oh, you're piggybacking a trauma? Is that how you would interact with that situation?
Let me finish my point.
You're saying I'm piggybacking off of trauma, Dennis. This is pathetic.
Let me finish my point, and then you can, you literally just a few months ago, in March of this year, 2022, you did that. You admittedly said that you made fun of this girl for her trauma.
Okay.
This trauma that you're using to cry about on the internet is not your trauma. I understand that you stand for trauma. I stand against trauma. I said it earlier here, I have a lot of fucked up trauma in my own life.
Okay.
I know a lot of people.
So then why don't you care about anybody else's trauma?
I know a lot of people who are traumatized. I think all of us in the chat right now know somebody and carry our own traumas. Okay? So it's very different to use somebody else's, what you're doing is using somebody else's trauma as a shield so that you can get sympathy. I understand that it's somebody you love. I love a lot of people.
I don't
too,
think
and
you do if you don't
a lot of
understand
them-
where I'm coming from. I think you're just very emotionally immature if you don't
Look.
understand where I'm coming from, and that's all I can really say.
Trust me, I was in a relationship for 8 years before this. Okay, I know love. I know what it's like to live and be with somebody.
Wow.
Trust me, I know exactly what it's like to share your life with somebody. Okay, I know exactly what that's like. So I'm just drawing the parallel of you laughing at this girl's trauma and now using someone else's trauma to drum up sympathy for yourself. I mean, would you, without that being, how would you confront or respond to the joke that I made without using the trauma as a shield?
Well, Dennis, the joke is the trauma, so how can I not use the trauma as
Not
part of
your
the defense?
trauma, though. Someone else's trauma. Please talk about it. Like, how would you respond without using that trauma?
I wouldn't,
Without
because
bringing
it's a
up someone
very
else's
because it's
trauma.
something that's very real that like is very upsetting to me. What are you
You
talking
understand
about?
what you're doing. You're weaponizing.
I'm
someone
not
else's
weaponizing anything. I'm not
You're
weapon.
weaponizing
You're telling Dennis.
trauma.
Okay.
You're weaponizing someone else's trauma to try to score sympathy points on the
No,
internet.
Dennis, I'm not weaponizing anybody's trauma whatsoever
So-
here.
So respond to the joke that I
Uh-huh.
made without talking about the trauma.
It's impossible because the trauma is what upsets me. I don't understand. Like, I just don't think
So how
that
does
you.
me saying, so explain to me,
Okay.
then, how does me saying that you look like a pedophile make you think of somebody else's rape?
Oh yeah, let me bring it up. So, this is like again when our first interaction. There seems to be a history of you supporting incredibly over-exaggeratory rape accusations. For instance, with Killick, who was like called a pedophile, a predator, and a rapist for being 17
Where did
years
I
old.
support the? Hold on.
Dennis, you
This was
you.
once- This was first off. This was.
Whoa!
months
What
before I-
happened? I can't respond. Where's the moderator, huh, Dennis?
Huh?
So Dennis, you like there. We're doing like the back and forth thing, right? Okay. So we had that interaction. My big primary point was that they had a massively disproportionate response, calling a 17-year-old a rapist, a pedophile, and a predator for making a very inappropriate joke about a 15-year-old, right? And you supported them. Then you recently admitted in our live together that you just went in there to troll me and that you didn't actually mean anything you said. So I can only assume that that's part of your rhetoric, which is just pretending to care and not really giving a shit enough to look into actual situations, right? Moving on to, despite the fact that this has been explained. Oh yeah. Additionally, joking about pedophilia. I don't know why anybody would do that. That's invalidating to survivors
Okay,
of molestation. Whoa, I'm not done. And then following up.
Made a lot of statements.
You should let him finish.
Dennis, I'm fine with like the shouting back and forth, but you can't do it too. The reason that I'm being more upfront is because you did not stop screaming in our first conversation, and you need to be talked to like this, or else nobody will get an edge in. Okay.
Okay.
So again,
okay.
yes, that's how you interact.
Our conversation with like 50 different people, and it wasn't like this. So maybe it's just the
Because
dynamic
Dennis, they're not me. That's what do you mean it wasn't like this? Like if you you shouldn't have been like going after me if you didn't want me to confront you.
What are you talking about?
You're
I
saying
just
it was
said-
so much nicer when the other people were in here. I'm not going to be nice about this. I'm being blunt with you because our first conversation you screamed when I was charitable. I have to interact in a way where I stand strong here because this is how you operate. You scream and you yell and you interrupt people and you dishonestly frame things that happened 30 seconds ago. So like let's stop getting off onto these tangents when like you try to play these like weird framing games and let me finish and then you can respond or we could just yell. I don't really care at this point.
Hey, I'm not,
Okay, Papa Gut, that was your thing. All right, Dennis, go.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Okay, so I love it that we've arrived at the pedophile joke section of the conversation. I want to know from you: Is it funny for a grown man to fuck a 14-year-old? A grown man like you?
No, I don't think that jokes about rape are appropriate at all.
Okay. So, do you think it's funny? You think it's a joke to fuck kids?
No, not at all. I think it's disgusting. That's why I wouldn't joke about somebody
So
being a
you
pedophile.
don't think it's a joke? You don't
No,
think it's
I
a
don't.
joke to fuck kids?
No, I think it's disgusting.
So you agree with me putting the word joke in quotations in that tweet because I don't find it.
Oh yeah, this is like a really disingenuous move here. Yeah, so you were trying to. So the joke, Dennis, the joke wasn't Dennis. The joke wasn't about me fucking kids. The joke was, in its full context, which you still can't get right, if she's old enough to bleed, she's old enough to breed. Thank you very much, Andre Lopez, for the advice. Now, it was an inappropriate joke I never should have made, which I've been saying for a year now, but the intention was to call out somebody who was, when they were 23, allegedly raped a 14-year-old, slept with a 14-year-old. So the intent is very clear that that's what I'm calling out. You, on the other hand, are calling me a pedophile because you're unhinged and upset because your career is spiraling, and you point to me for the reason.
So here's the thing. I'm happy that you admitted at first that it's not a joke to fuck kids.
Sure.
I'm happy you admitted to that. It was interesting to see you backtrack and try to then claim that it's a joke. It's interesting logic there. But
who do you think is going to like look at this and go, wow, Dennis is so smart?
I can't finish the statement. This is crazy.
Well, because you're being a dishonest piece of shit. Like this, you're gaslighting everybody in real time.
This is going to be impossible, dude.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you already are refusing to talk about how you were joking about someone's violent rape. So, like, this is where we're at now. Like, there is very little productivity because you are so wildly dishonest about everything that we can't have a reasonable conversation. The only reason
how is it,
Dennis, you're trying to say that I think it's funny to rape kids when I have used my platform since its beginning to deplatform actual pedophiles. Dennis, you're trying to make it seem like I wasn't joking. You were insinuating that I wasn't joking because you want to do everything you can to label me a pedophile because you want to deplatform me. But the reality is historically I've deplatformed people who've used TikTok to try to rape children. That's what I've done. While you sit down and talk about how big of a shit Trisha Paytas made, I'm talking about real things and putting my platform on the line. Okay? Educating people about sexual assault culture. Like, that's what I do. And, like, this is what's happening. You can, oh boy, but, like, what do you do all day but talk about bullshit, drama, irrelevant news while pretending to be funny? Like, it's insulting to, like, it's just an insulting thing. And now you're pretending like anything you're saying is an honest framing while desperately trying to walk away from talking about how you are still doubling down on joking about my wife's violent rape that led her to bleed for a week. That's what's happening because you are desperate to not. You're saying I'm piggybacking on this trauma, Dennis. It's insane that you're saying I'm piggybacking. Dennis, I am recalling an experience of my wife sitting down in the car, the first moment where she really opened up to me, talking about how she was violently raped. How much it upset me because I handled it the wrong way, because I got so angry I made it about me and about her asking if I'm okay. It shattered me as an individual, Dennis. This is what I'm talking about, right? And then asking if she thinks that it was really rape. This is the fucking situation. And you're saying I'm piggybacking a trauma. Dennis, this is horrible. No, this is why I didn't want to have you guys fielding this situation, because I know that you got no, stop. See, this is
Victim Olympics.
No, this isn't victim. This is Jesus Christ, Nick, you need to stop. I understand in the commentary sphere you guys have different types of conversations. This is a big conversation. Like, I'm 32. I know.
Let me. No.
I'm not. No, because I know the way that you guys are framing it. Oh, damn, Papa Gut, you're not owning him because you're expressing a real trauma. Dennis is trying to make the assertion that I'm piggybacking a trauma while desperately avoiding the situation. And you guys are running defense because this is how you talk. That's fine. I'm trying to have a very real conversation here with a lot of stakes. It's okay if you think less of me because I'm expressing this. I'm okay with that. But this is why I didn't want to get pulled into a Twitter space with hundreds of people on it, because I knew we were going to play a game where everybody was going to want to get their 2 cents in. But this is distracting from the conversation. If you think that
my argument with him that was more productive than the conversation you're having right now.
You mean with the one when I wasn't here? If you guys would like to go back to talk about that, that's totally fine. This is supposed to be a conversation between me and Def. And again, the fielding of everybody else in here weighing that they're putting their 2 cents in is completely unproductive. And this is why I didn't want to do it in this style, but this seems to be the only way that it's going to happen. So you guys need to stop weighing in. It's okay that you have your opinions. Totally fine. But again, it's distracting from the core argument. I went off and I was talking about the situation. This is an oppression Olympics. I know maybe like some of you guys, you probably don't, but maybe you know people who are trying to do this to be disingenuous. I hate bringing up this point. It's an embarrassing point that I bring up. The fact that I have to keep reliving my wife's trauma, like showing it on the internet. She's not happy about this. She's sitting here listening to. Do you think that we're like jerking off? Like, oh my God, I can't wait to talk about this thing that's so sensitive and private. No, but the reality is that this is the center point of it. And Dennis is desperately trying to double down on making a joke about my wife being raped. raped. And I just don't really understand, or at the very least, excuse me, let me frame that properly. Doubling down on my emotional reaction to like relaying that experience. And that's what this comes down to. So let Dennis speak. This is not going to be productive if you guys keep butting in.
All right, I agree with you. Let Dennis speak.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot that just got said. Like, I don't even know where to begin.
Begin with my wife's rape.
Yeah. First off, I mean, I please tell me where I joked about.
You
her
had
rape.
said that I'm piggybacking on her trauma, and then you like
So
you were
tell me how that.
sure. So again, you're belittling the situation by suggesting that I'm piggybacking on it. Oh my god!
It's an observation. How is it a joke?
Because
You
you keep
called it a
showing
joke.
because you keep showing my face crying, Dennis. That's the joke, right?
How is it? No, that's you. I'm not.
So
I'm not,
you
I
weren't
didn't make-
joking by showing that face and making a T-shirt out of it?
No, I didn't. I didn't show your wife. I didn't mention your wife.
You
I
showed
didn't
my
talk about her.
response.
I showed your face.
Yeah.
I showed your face. And by the way, I didn't even watch the clip long enough to know that that's
Wow.
what you talked about. I watched the part where you said, "This isn't a joke, Dennis," and then you go and you start crying, and then I have to get back to work. 'Cause
I
got a phone
didn't
call.
start crying until
So,
I finished talking about
the
my
thing.
wife being raped. So I don't really know what you're talking about. If you watch that, you know what
That
it was
was the
about. That's
clip
just a
I
self-report.
That's the clip somebody sent me, and I've already explained it here earlier, like 4 hours
Well, now that
ago.
you know the context, do you think that maybe it was an insensitive that you'd be like, you know what, Papa God, I didn't know that that's what it was about, and now that I do, I'm going to retract that. It was kind of shitty, even if it was just a joke. That's all you have to say. Like,
You know
yeah.
what? I took the T-shirts down. I talked to some of your fans earlier. Like,
So-
I recognize the lines. The lines are in different places for different people.
So what you're saying is, do you apologize for the joke? Do you apologize for making a satirical display of me for that, or are you doubling down?
Like, I'm trying to understand what it is because you've made several accusations.
Yeah, we can
against
talk
me.
about that right after you answer this very simple question. Do you
just said-
apologize for it, or are you doubling down? You could certainly
You
double down.
literally-
Just say that. Just say it. You double down,
Yeah.
apologize. Two options.
Can I want to be able to conclude a thought because it's not.
Yeah, but
gonna
you're
be,
trying to
like,
walk off of the primary situation because you know that if you give a genuine answer, you're going to look stupid. So just answer the question, move on to anything you want to talk about, but stop trying to pivot away from the initial conversation.
Okay, can I get a word in?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So you said I was joking about your wife's rape. I explained exactly. In fact, for people who have been hearing this for the 4 or 5 hours that I've been on, you know that I said this like 3 hours ago, that I said this exact same thing. So you know I'm coming from an authentic place. This is exactly what happened because I didn't even know the full context of this until you just told me right now. So I'm just literally repeating what I said 3 hours ago. I was sent this clip. I watched it for like 15 seconds in my office, and I got a screenshot, and I have to go back to work. So here's the thing: I wasn't making fun of your wife's sexual assault. That was not the intention at all with any of that. In fact, your fans asked me to take down the shirt. I took down the shirt. I took down a few of the other posts. At the end of the day, if you're feeling personally. I can't speak for your significant other, but if you're feeling hurt by these jokes, I'm more than happy to talk to you about them, okay? And I'm more than happy to understand everything that's going on. At the end of the day, if it really hurt you and it hurt your feelings that I joked about you looking like a pedophile, then I apologize. I am sorry.
That sounded very genuine, Dennis. Thank
Feelings
you.
hurt.
Thank you so much,
That-
Dennis. I appreciate that. But can we quickly? I just wanted to be like very concise here. Or are you still
wanna
going?
finish-
Go ahead.
Finish my point. I just want to finish my point real quick.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, you should know
Mhm.
that we are on the internet, and
Sure.
as entertainers, people are going to say a lot of shit.
Okay.
In fact, I've done a lot of different shows and things, and I've had people in different shows call me crazy things, and it just maybe a thought for the future, because people, the more you grow, the more shit people are going to say about you. But just maybe prepare yourself as you grow to hear some of these other things from other people. Because not everyone is going to reach out and try to have a conversation with you about it the way that I'm doing. And a lot of people.
Well, you didn't
will,
reach
in
out. I
fact,
came into here, but
double
okay.
down. Huh?
Continue.
Yeah.
The only way that the only reason you're having this conversation is because you realize that like this was a really bad look for you. Like you would have never done this if people were agreeing
How
with
do
you.
you know?
Because
I mean,
it's a very reasonable assumption considering you doubled down for the past week. But continue your point. Like this isn't an this isn't an appeal to emotion, but like you would have never done this if it wasn't for you getting
So here's the
completely
thing.
plastered for the past week. Like you don't actually care. Same thing as last time. You didn't talk to me
Oh
until
my
you felt
God.
like you had to. So continue your point.
Dude, you're like, the fact you're like jumping to conclusions and like putting words in my mouth is like the weirdest thing.
I'm just holding you accountable for your shitty actions.
How are you holding me accountable? You're literally making stuff up, and you're
No,
saying
I'm
that
telling the truth. You're very easy to read. You're not a very like you're somebody that like a lot of people meet. Like you're the guy who's very full of yourself, very egotistical. And then you will generally get away with whatever you kind of want. But like when you don't, then you have a hissy fit and you cry, and then you go on a tirade calling people pedophiles.
So tell me, have you ever met me in person?
No, I don't think that I need to. This is
Have
the
you
age of the
ever-
internet, so I don't
have-
think I need to meet somebody in person to know you personally. Even if this
Have
is
you
just an act
ever-
that you're putting on the internet, it's very transparent.
So you're telling me that when you watch a movie, you think that Tommy
I don't
Lee
have
Jones
I don't
is
have
the-
conversations
Let
with
me-
Tommy
let
Lee
me
Jones. I've
finish
had conversations with you multiple times
Let me
before. It's not the
finish
same
my
thing.
point.
It's a disingenuous point.
Let
I've
me
already
finish
blasted
my
your
point.
point. Finish it, but it's a dumb point.
So you're telling me that when you watch a movie,
This
you
isn't a
believe
movie,
that-
Dennis. We've talked before. This
Well-
isn't a movie. You don't need to finish a point. It's a garbage point. You look like an idiot. Dennis, we are talking now. We've talked before. I see you live interacting constantly in the way that we interact with each other. You're not Tommy Lee Jones. You're not Stephen Colbert. You're Dennis. And we talk together, and I see how you interact with different situations in the real world. And I know you as a person because you're an easy read. You're not a complex individual.
Can I get like a
Yeah,
word in?
get your point out so I can say the same thing again. Oh, you've never met Tommy Lee Jones. You just watch TV about him. It's a good point.
Okay. Can I?
Go ahead.
You just said I could talk, and then you interrupted me. You're
Yeah.
gonna let me talk?
Go ahead.
Okay. Cool. So here's the thing.
Mhm.
You're basing all of your assumptions on who I am as a person
Yes.
on the sliver that I show on the internet. I upload 8 to 10 minute videos on the internet. I do a live stream 3 days out of the week. That's 2 hours. There are 24 hours in a day. You literally get to see minutes of who I am and what I do. And you're basing an entire assumption of who I am on this microcosm that I present on the internet. So, I mean, with that being said, do you feel like you just, for yourself, everything encompasses everything that you like, the way that you present yourself? I don't know anymore. What
If
I'm
you
saying.
watch my content, this
Like,
is
you-
for the most part the way that I interact. If someone said, Papa God, I know you because I watch your content, I'd say, you're right.
You're essentially saying I'm like a bad person based on
Yes.
8 minutes that you don't even watch.
Based on a 2-hour-long conversation plus this interaction where you have an unhinged meltdown and decide to call me like a pedophile constantly because you can't cope with the fact that your career's dying. Like, yes, Dennis, I know you, especially when you see somebody in their rawest form, their most emotional form. You get to really know who they are. I know you. You're not complex, Dennis. Okay? You're a walking red flag.
I'm a walking red flag.
Yeah.
And you do this for everybody across the board. You see them and you immediately judge them based on
I've been interacting with you for a while. We had a whole 2-hour conversation. I've talked to some people in here. I know them pretty well. They know me. If Nicholas Diorio said, Papa Gut, I think this about you, there's a good chance he has a reason for it. Probably because he watches my content and he's interacted with me before. So I can make the same about you. The difference is, Dennis, is that you're an easy read.
So here's my thought on
Yeah.
this, right?
Mhm.
My first impression of you was that you weren't very charitable towards me, that you just literally hid parts of what I had done in the video.
Sure,
so that
Dennis.
you-
Why are we getting so off topic about like why
later-
don't you want to just
because-
talk about the topic?
because
Because we've gone back to this, and Dennis, I was
And
like, Dennis, I'd really like to push you. I'd really like to push you on this whole thing where you were joking about, right? I want to talk about that. You keep going back to this. I don't really care, mostly because like we were really on this point and you've done it about 3 times now, and I'm looking for a very simple answer. I got very upset and emotional because I was recalling my interaction with my wife, expressing to me her horrific trauma, which kind of fucked me up a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm traumatized. I had a genuine response. You took a picture of me saying that, made it shirts, whatever. Now that I explained the full context, let's say you didn't know the full context. That's totally fine. Now that I've explained it, would you say, you know what, Papa Gut, I probably shouldn't have done that. My bad. That's all I need. Yeah, you know what, that was kind of shitty. That's okay. All you have to say is that, and I would say, Dennis, I understand because I've been there too. We've all make mistakes. That's all you have to say.
Just please for a second, let me talk. Like, you don't let me finish any of my points.
I let you finish all of your points. You just don't like them pushing you really hard.
No, that's
yes,
not
Dennis. Last time we talked, you steamrolled me. You had 80% of the conversation.
I respond, Nick. Please,
somebody else. I can't defend myself.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Def. If you want to have a conversation at some point soon, I'd love to talk to you. I feel like I could have a nice, calm conversation. I can't do this moderation shit. This shit's crazy.
That's fine. Listen, I really want to stop getting off the point about this, like, you know, the picture. Dennis, again, I've talked to you before, and you do your best to try to like pivot. Again, let me just say it one more time, and I want just a genuine answer. I'm giving you an out. I'm saying, Dennis, I've been there. I've made jokes that are unintentionally bad because I don't understand the full context. Are you apologetic about joking about me getting upset that my wife was raped? That's it. Is that still funny to you? Yes. Answer the question, Dennis. You got it. Floor is yours.
Okay, great. So what you just showed to me is that you're not listening at all to anything I'm saying. Because 3 minutes ago, I asked you about the joke. I explained exactly what happened.
Okay.
Exactly. That I did not know. I didn't watch the full context of the video, that I just got the screenshot and that was it. And then I said that I apologize.
Oh, no, you didn't. You said that No. Now I accept your apology, Dennis. Thank you so much, even though I know it's a lie. But here's the thing. You kept saying you didn't apologize. You kept saying different people have different joking lines. That's you desperate to not answer the question. Don't give me this disingenuous bullshit. You never apologize. You said everybody has a different line. You were doubling down. And now I ask you a very basic question. You apologize, and now you say you do. So you apologize for being insensitive, right? We're good? That's cool?
So
you don't think it's funny that my wife was raped anymore?
Here's the thing, dude. I'm going to end up having to mute your mic if you're not going to let me talk so that I can actually respond. That's how, since nobody else wants to moderate.
Is Paige Christie here? Because then she can jump in as a moderator.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
Did you apologize?
Who's Paige?
You want to add Paige Christie on so she can moderate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Is she wants to moderate? Where is she? I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I think she'll do a good job at moderating.
I agree.
Okay.
I doubt she's here. She's in the UK and it's 3 in the morning.
She's here. She's here. Don't worry. She's coming.
She is here.
Is she on her way? You guys,
I'm looking.
Did you guys?
So she's also in your chat. So I think she'll be joining.
Are you guys confirming that? Because I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick if that's what's gonna happen.
All right.
I'm gonna pee really quick, okay? And then when she comes in, she can moderate.
Hey, I'm here if you want me to help out.
Can you moderate? Can you help moderate?
Sure.
Okay. Great. All right. So this conversation got all out of whack. Is he here?
Oh, he's gone to the toilet now. So if you give him a moment, and by that time,
While he's at the toilet,
Paige might be here.
While he's at the toilet, like, there's a circle of apologies. Can you guys, or can you just state like what you're apologizing for, or if you apologize for anything? Because I feel like it's the circle of, well, you're not sorry for this, and you did this, and it's like I
understand what you're saying. It's like it's kind of difficult to keep up because he keeps like leveling accusations against me and like changing the conversation into other things.
Are you apologetic for anything? Because I think that will. Like,
so,
okay, yes, I apologize, you know?
I said, I mean, you'll remember I said it just a couple of minutes ago. I said that I apologize because I didn't know that had anything to do with his wife rape or any of that. That was not my intention to make fun of her rape. So I apologize to him for that. So
I know, but I don't think it's clear when you guys are going in circles. I think it's not clear. So I think if you just upfront, like, I apologize because I said this, and I apologize if I did this.
I'm
like,
back
you know
right now. I'm back here.
From what I understand,
there was a picture that was clipped from a video where Papa was upset listening to a story about sexual assault, and that photo was clipped and used for a T-shirt. Dennis didn't know that that's what that was from. Is that correct? Am I following correctly?
Sure. Yeah. That's what he says. Sure.
Yeah. So, and I followed up after explaining that I apologize for doing that because I didn't know the full context
Oh, thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
of the video. So that's,
I appreciate the apology.
like,
The first time, for context, let's understand that you said that everybody has a different line for comedy, and now you're finally apologizing. I want to be contextually accurate here because that's
No, that's
exactly
not
what
what I
you said. Okay, you can say that, but that's what you were saying.
That's not what I said.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Anyway, either way, whether or not I said that, this is where we're at.
Okay.
Okay, that's the apology right here. Okay, I apologize for that. You know, I did not mean to hurt your feelings with that situation. So, if that's
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. You said you apologize if I felt upset? Is that what you said?
honestly, I've been talking to people for like 6 hours.
Okay, well,
so
no,
I-
just restate it again because people are telling me that you said that you apologized for me being upset. That's not an apology. That's actually passive aggressive. You apologized for posting the picture or because I got upset?
Can I get a thought out? Can I please get a thought out? Hold on, my dogs.
Can I get a thought out? My dogs. What are you apologizing because I'm upset or because like what you did was wrong? With
Hold on.
now that you know the context.
Look, I've been doing this for like 6 hours. I apologize if I get fogged up. What I literally said before that was that I apologize for the photo, for sharing that photo, putting it on the T-shirt, that I did not know the full context of it. Okay, I don't know what else
Okay.
you want to get out of this situation, so I want to make sure.
I was just
that we're
clarifying.
only- Huh?
I was just clarifying because apparently earlier you said that you were apologizing because I got upset that you did that thing, not for the actual thing.
Look,
But it sounds like what you're saying now is that you apologized for doing the thing. So, okay.
we're like getting in the weeds of like these words and
Well, that's what
semantics.
this is about, right? Semantics. Because like if you play a word game, that's
Bro.
kind of what we're talking about. I'm literally. I said it seems like it seems like you're apologizing now. I was just making sure we're accurate. I don't know why you're getting so upset about it.
It's totally fine. Like I said earlier, I've been doing this. I don't even know how many. Can somebody know how many hours I've been doing this?
Okay.
So that point I think is handled. He apologizes for posting that and not knowing the context. I guess what else do you guys want to cover?
Yeah.
I think we might be good. I guess if you want to do like a closing statement or something, we could do that. I'm totally fine with all that.
No,
Or I can do one, and then I can like step out because
I
it
think-
seems like we've exhausted the conversation. You can continue to your live.
No, honestly, I have my dogs here. They want to eat. That's why they're barking.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like we reached a conclusion. It feels like I guess.
Well, we never
Like
really
I
reached
said-
why you thought it was funny to constantly call me a
Oh my God,
pedophile.
bro.
So we didn't actually reach a conclusion.
Please,
You-
let me finish a thought, please.
Sure, go ahead, Dennis.
I know you're like hyped up that you're like that you got a lot going on, but like please let me finish a single thought. Like
Okay, Dennis.
single one.
Okay,
Okay.
just correcting you. Sorry.
Like if there's nothing else that we can accomplish, I mean, we've already like talked about so much stuff. You kind of addressed the whole thing with like the pedophile joke.
We didn't really. You
Yeah.
You never said if like you've been doubling down about saying like insinuating heavily that I'm a pedophile for the entire time. We never actually talked about that. We talked
Yeah,
about
we did.
no.
Yeah, we
we
did.
talked about the picture. We didn't really talk about like. Do you think it was okay to constantly label me a pedophile? Even with
I mean, do you think it's okay to fuck kids?
no, Dennis. And I made my joke, and that's why I apologize. And it wasn't
Why
about
do you-
fucking kids, Dennis. So this is what we're doing. You're deflecting. I apologized vehemently for a joke for a year ago, and now you're getting called on your shit, and you're backpedaling. You saying that you joked about raping kids, the same thing if I said you got banned on Twitter for fucking exploiting children. If I just kept saying that out of context, I look stupid. That's how you look right now, constantly reinforcing a lie. Dennis, do you think it's appropriate to constantly call somebody a pedophile? Jokingly, do you think that's appropriate? Because you're suing Keemstar for doing something, and by the way, what you're doing is worse than what he's doing to you. So how is it that you can exist in this world where you think it's justifiable to sue Keemstar for what he said, but somehow it's not justifiable for what you said? I'd really like to hear your answer on this. I'd love to know the mental gymnastics and the hoops that you're going to jump through to try to explain this insane level of cognitive dissonance.
Okay. So I explained this earlier.
I wasn't here. I don't care.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a very clear difference, okay? And the only reason why I'm actually going to talk about this aspect is because I've already talked about it publicly numerous times, even before anything was filed. So the difference is, let's look at Keemstar's statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keemstar published a statement saying that I had groomed girls, numerous girls. There were victims who were going to come forward. And then he said, he labeled it as he usually labels his news pieces, #drama alert. At the top of it, if you look at his profile, he has his, it says trending breaking news, social media interactions, and leading name. And he presents his show as a news show. In fact, he's already said numerous times that he's put people behind bars while covering these allegations. That's Keemstar. That's the context of his tweet that he published as news without any indication whatsoever that it was a joke. And if you look at the replies, in fact, the quote retweets, you'll see that all of that supports the idea that people thought it was real. The accusation that false accusation that he made against me. In fact, he even later admitted that it was made falsely and maliciously. The difference between me and Keemstar goes all the way back to 2019. I did an interview, and this has been something that I've repeated over and over again. I did an interview with Vulture, New York Magazine, where I explained that my show was a parody of his show, of Perez Hilton, and other news shows, that I have a parody news show, that it's satirical in nature, but it's a parody of a news show, that I'm not an actual news source and shouldn't be considered as such. In fact, at the top of my bios everywhere, it says, so, you know, there's that aspect. Also, would you say that saying that somebody looks like a pedophile is an accusation?
You constantly asserting that I look like a pedophile over and over again, talking about going on the street to ask people if I look like a pedophile. You're doing everything you can to play the plausible deniability game.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
I know that you want to play the legal game, but
I
morally, you know that you're incorrect. If Keemstar, if it said comedian in Keemstar's bio, would what he said be appropriate?
If I say that you look like a fire extinguisher, are you an actual fire extinguisher?
Could a person ever be a fire extinguisher?
I'm saying.
Could a person ever be a fire extinguisher?
Is it?
Could a person? It's a very simple question. Can a person be a fire extinguisher?
Okay, you want a more practical?
No, Dennis. Can a person be a fire extinguisher? You tagged the FBI.
A chef. If I say that you look like a chef.
Yes, then people can think I'm a chef. Yes, because people can be chefs. So if you said I look like a chef, people can think I'm actually a chef. That disproves your argument. You saying I look like a pedophile is an insinuation that I am a pedophile, especially with a absolute insane, unhinged rant that you've been going on about it.
Saying that you look like a chef, you're I don't know if you're purposely missing the point.
No, I think that you don't have a point to miss.
But saying that you look like a chef, saying that you look like a chef doesn't mean that you're a chef. Saying that somebody looks like somebody or like something, I can say that you look like Robert De Niro. Doesn't mean that you're Robert De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that you look like, the Tower of Pisa.
Wow.
Doesn't mean that you're the Tower of Pisa. Okay? At the end of the day.
Didn't you show a picture of me having a pedophile van and saying that that's my car? Isn't that a heavy insinuation I'm a pedophile?
It's not, I mean, you literally, can you admit that saying that somebody looks like a pedophile doesn't mean that they are a pedophile?
Oh, absolutely. But you're heavily trying to insinuate that I'm a pedophile while playing plausible deniability.
Hey guys, I think you guys can kind of agree to disagree.
I don't think that we should agree to disagree on a point where he's trying to call me a pedophile. Why? I don't. No. Because like this is again, like Dennis is heavily insinuating that I'm a pedophile, and so for whatever reason we're playing like respect Dennis for using malicious accusations accusations that are invalidating to, you know,
Okay.
victims
Of
of.
course, and I
Yeah,
just,
so
I
like, let's
actually
not
just
brush
wanted to
past
say
the point.
something, Papa. I just actually want to
Every
say
time we
something
get into a
towards your
point, you guys
side
are
of
constantly like
this.
interrupting this. It's really unfortunate that I can't press Dennis because you guys like run field for him every time we get to
She's
a point.
the
I'm
mediator.
not. I'm not running. Actually, this is what I was going to say. I think in 2014, Stephen Collins, the guy that was the head actor in the show Seventh Heaven, he does not look like, I guess, what a typical, I don't know, what is the typical look of a pedophile? This guy looked like a priest, you know, a good looking actor. So I understand your point, Papa, of being, you know, of feeling that that is derogatory. I am not an attorney, so what I was about to say is it sounds like you didn't like the gist of the joke.
Because he was using it to try to
Dennis,
suggest that I was a pedophile while playing plausible deniability.
course,
People,
which
hold on,
is
let me make this point that a lot of
understandable.
people I don't think understand is that jokes are constantly used by people as vehicles to assert particular points. Not always, but they can be. Dennis references Stephen Colbert. That's what Stephen Colbert does, right? So the idea that it's just a joke isn't something that you can just say to immediately dismiss the potential harmful nature of the joke, right? So like that's something that needs to be made clear.
Tell me what the harmful nature of saying that somebody who looks like a pedophile. What? How did that harm you?
So Dennis, no. So it didn't harm me because you don't have any credibility, right? But the reality is, hold on, I'm answering your question. I'm going to answer your question. Okay, so you don't want me to continue because you know it's going to like look really bad for you, right?
You just said.
Yeah, here it is. Okay.
You just said it had no harm.
Sure.
So what's the point?
So Dennis,
It had no
calling
harm.
somebody a pedophile can have harm. Thankfully,
So
since
there-
you
but
have
there
no,
was no harm in it.
hold on, Dennis. Thankfully, hold on,
back.
Dennis. Thankfully,
You're
since you have no credibility, it doesn't cause harm. But I was answering the question of what the harm can be by falsely labeling somebody a pedophile. I want you to understand that
Exactly.
people, real men, will kill pedophiles, Dennis. That is a call to violence from where I come from. So I don't take it very lightly.
let
So
me say-
that's the
let me say
harm
this.
of accusing someone's a pedophile. You should understand this. Like, I don't know why this is weird that you guys like to play everyone's a pedophile. It's fucking insane and unhinged. Not only is it a call to violence, but it's invalidating of fucking molestation
100%.
victims and survivors.
Here's the thing, though.
One second, can I add one thing? Because it
you
didn't end
literally-
there,
you
Dennis.
literally
You also
said-
wanted to take it to the streets and ask random people on the street if this person looks like a pedophile.
And you tagged the FBI.
You know?
I understand. So, but you literally just said it had no harm. It did.
In this
absolutely
instance,
nothing.
thankfully, it didn't because you have
said-
no credibility as a content creator.
Look.
But
at
it
the end
could
of
if
the day-
somebody leveraged that. So
At the end of the day, all it says is that it had no harm.
okay.
So
So you think it's appropriate to make pedophile jokes? That's okay. Like, I just want you to say it.
I think it's appropriate to do any joke
Oh.
about anything. I think everything is fair game. I've said this before.
I just disagree. I think that's kind of shitty. But if
Everything
you want to
is
do
very-
that, that's fine. Can I? Well, I think it's totally fine, Dennis.
fucking-
I think it's totally fine. You joke about anything.
You
I
did,
personally
let me-
wouldn't.
Bro, please.
Okay,
like,
go
please
ahead,
Let me
Dennis.
finish one single point. Please,
Okay,
please,
okay.
for the love of God.
Okay, go ahead,
For
Dennis.
the love of God, please let me finish like something. Let me get one single thought out. I understand that you're like hyped up and you're like all emotional and stuff. It's totally fine, but like
Yeah.
let me get a thought out.
Okay.
Okay. So we've established the joke had no effect on you. No effect on you whatsoever. Zero. And you said it's because you have no credibility. I mean, that's the whole joke of my channel. I said this back in 2019.
That you have no credibility?
I said this back in 2019 in an interview with Vulture that it was commentary on this, that I shouldn't be considered an NBC, that I shouldn't be considered a news source that's taken seriously by everyone. That I shouldn't. That's the joke of what I do. And the fact that people like you keep trying to take me seriously is in and of itself.
Well, Dennis, we can tell that you're playing a game. There's no way that you want to be seen as a guy with zero credibility because that's how you're seen right now. It's not because of your humor. Nobody really understands the jokes that you make because I don't even know if you're making them. But like, this is like you're saying things. I don't see why it's funny to call someone a pedophile. You've really been trying to. I don't know why. This is weird. I honestly, I think it's really weird because people have been like, Dennis, you need to take a break. You need to take a break. And I think it's shitty for people to constantly like, you know, I guess you have. I don't know, man. I think you do need to take a break. I think that you've got something going on. There's probably a reason because that's why you're talking to a therapist about Keemstar, and you should like legitimately take a break because, dude,
Look,
this is fucking
gotta-
unhinged, dude. This is insane that
Okay.
we're even here talking about this.
I've been here for 6 or so hours. I talked to like 50 different people. We had very polite and pleasant conversations. Even when people pushed back on me, The only person who's been like literally yelling at me is you.
Yes, because
I've
we've
been
had a
very-
conversation before where you screamed at me, and this is how I have to treat a child: is I have to speak up, right? I'm not going to have a fun, nice conversation where we drink tea from somebody who calls me a pedophile and makes jokes about like invalidating different traumas, et cetera, et cetera. Like, dude,
So-
like the fact that you expect me to be so nice to you, I'm being nice to you, by the way. Like, this is me being assertive, but I'm being nice. This is just what happens when like somebody stands up to you being fucking insane, right? But like, stop trying to play the game. Well, you're the only mean guy here. Dennis, you fucking constantly called me a fucking pedophile. You want me to be nice to you? You poisoned the well. Why would I be nice to you? I'm here being incredible. Considering who I am and how aggressive I can get, I'm being very nice to you, but I'm not letting you get away with your fucking bullshit. That's what you're upset about, because everybody else is sitting here listening to every fucking nonsensical bullshit thing that you have to say, going, Dennis, I agree. You're a good person. You're not. Those people are incredible because they have the patience for you. I've interacted with you more personally. We've been here. We've had the conversations. I've seen how you sneak your way out of incredibly slimy fucking scumbag takes. I know you. Okay, I've seen how that was massively charitable. Our last conversation. I know you. You're not a good person, and I'm not going to sit here and be charitable and let you constantly pivot onto 17 other points to avoid everything. This is how you need to be talked to because you weren't disciplined as a child. That's where we're at.
Okay. Now you're taking the role of my dad, I guess, quote unquote.
Hey guys, I guess we can't put a blanket on whether someone is a good or bad
I
human.
absolutely
guess, what
can. It's not a blanket. I've interacted with him. I think Dennis is a bad person. That's how he
Okay,
interacts with me. So
you're
that's my
entitled to
opinion.
Your opinion. So
Yes.
but are you just trying to sort of do you want Dennis to say that joke, to agree that joke was in bad taste, or I guess what are we trying to accomplish here in this particular point of this thing about the going
In
around
general,
and the
in general, my point is I'm trying to interact and he's constantly pivoting, so I'm holding him to a point. That's the entire conversation, what it's been. It's a constant pivot to different points, to very dishonest points. That's what I'm engaging in, right? And now he's like, Papa Gut, you're being mean to me. Yes, because I know that this is the way that you interact. So that's why I went on this tangent, is because he was trying to appeal to emotion, saying, guys, Papa Gut is so mean, as a way to try to like try to subtextually say I'm a bad guy and I'm arguing in bad faith. But what I'm doing is I'm holding to him to his points. I'm responding to his points that he doesn't realize he's making because he's being dishonest. That's what I'm doing. I'm picking apart everything that he says. I am playing semantics because this is the conversation. I'm not going to be charitable to somebody who calls people fucking pedophiles constantly. So like, what do you like? This is the point of this conversation, is to keep Dennis held accountable for the shitty things that he has done and that he'll continue to do if everybody runs defense for this guy. That's where we're at.
Here's the thing. I just want to be able to get a single word in, because this whole conversation, I don't even know how long we've been just you and me here, but it's just been you railroading the whole thing. So here's the thing. You've said several different things. First off, you insulted everybody in the chat right now, saying that they've been just sucking up to me, when a lot of
I said I love them a lot, and I think that they're really kind-hearted people. I didn't. No, see, you're already doing the dishonesty game. But I know you more personally, so your framing is already disingenuous. I'm holding you to your shit. You're actively lying to everybody, so I'm going to correct you. Don't lie, and I won't have to interrupt you. Continue.
Let me talk. You insulted everybody.
I did not insult anybody. I said that they're really great people, but I know you more personally. You're lying again, right off the back.
You don't know me more personally, Ari.
Then these guys probably, because I've interacted with you.
Bro,
Listen, here, let me just try to interject. I watched your entire YouTube video, Papa. I understand where you're coming from. Nobody wants to be called that they look like a pedophile. That
It's
they look
more
like
than
anything
just
that's
this point. This is
derogatory.
the second time
Of
Dennis
course.
has done this, and so he's being pushed
I-
to accountability.
I understand
It's not an.
what-
I know
let me
you.
just
I know
finish.
you
I
watched.
totally
I know you
understand.
watched that one instance, but again, this is an 8-month period of Dennis.
Of course, and I
so
want you
like,
to
let's
know,
be
I-
contextually accurate.
and this is the last thing I'll say, and I'll let Dennis talk. But I think a year and a half ago, Dennis did something very kind and charitable for me behind the scenes without anybody watching, and I won't even say what it is, but it was something incredible towards me, and it really changed my life in a positive way. And he didn't tweet about it, he didn't talk about it. So I disagree that he's a bad human being. I think potentially that these I do think that these jokes were made in poor taste. But I don't think he's a bad human being, and I don't think
Okay.
you're a bad human being. So how can we like actually resolve to just do something? I guess I mean, if you just think he's a terrible person and you're just here to prove that point, and that's all the reason why we're here, or is this to try to like get something positive out of this conversation and say, hey, I need to work on this. I heard you apologize for what you said, what you tweeted before, and I think that's good. Listen, this is the internet. I mean, but you have to be able to apologize and move forward. and agree to disagree on some points, or what is it that we're doing here? Just trying to cancel everybody?
So I'm not
I
trying to
would love to
cancel
know.
anybody. I'm not trying to cancel anybody, right? So here's what I said before. Let's just do a closing statement and I'll just walk off. That's totally fine. That Dennis wants to keep engaging in the conversation. But like if you want, Dennis, do a closing. I'll do a closing. You can keep your live going and then we'll walk off. Like that's all I really care about doing. I came in here to hold Dennis accountable for what he said, right? So if you want to do like a closing thing out, we could bang out. That's totally fine.
Sure. I think, Dennis, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I honestly, I appreciate helping mediate and everything. I just don't think I don't know if we can get anything else out of this conversation. Plus, like, I gotta be completely honest with all of you. I'm a little tired right now because I've been talking so long. But yeah, whatever you think is easier. Let's if we want to do that, then let's do that. Do some closing or whatever it is, and move on.
Sure. You want to go first? Well, you should go first. Go ahead.
No, it sounds like you want to go. You got a lot to say.
Could I just interject really quickly? Because I just think it would be conducive for you to just explain what made that a joke, what made the pedophile joke a joke, because I don't claim to understand comedy. I don't. I'm not funny in any way. So explain to me and the people who don't understand what makes that a joke and not just a shitty statement.
Of course. There is such a thing as labeling jokes. It's a genre of jokes that typically used in improv and in roasts to label something or objects certain things. So by saying like one of the roasts there is roast jokes is one of my friends said this joke, they said it at a roast. It's like the video has like 5 million views on YouTube. You can probably look it up. It was at the stand. So she essentially says that the guy she's roasting looks like a Santa Claus who touches kids at a mall. That's a labeling. That's essentially saying that he's a pedophile because he looks like Santa Claus. So that's a labeling joke. That's the kind of jokes you get at roasts. So what I essentially did was that type of joke. It was a labeling joke. So it was more on the nose than something left up for you to come up to that conclusion. But that's what made it a joke. It was
Why was that a joke and not what Keemstar says now that he says it's a joke, though? Wasn't it just a labeling joke? No, but he says he was joking. So if he had comedian in his bio, would that have meant that none of it would have mattered?
I mean, I can't litigate what's going to happen, right? Like this whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think we should do that.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's relevant to the conversation since it shows an incredible cognitive dissonance between the way they interacted with me and the way Keemstar interacted with you. But I understand why you can't talk about it because you have litigation. But thankfully, this whole interaction is going to make you lose your case. So
let me just finish talking real quick. I explained this earlier to the best that I could explain it. Okay, and you're free to go back and listen to the difference between my statement and his statement. Okay. I explained it very plainly. I walked you through it. This is maybe the 5th time that I explained it in this whole thing. There's a very big difference. And that was it.
And that's the fact that you did it for like a week and he did it for like one post, right? That was the difference.
Look, I thought we were doing closing statements.
Well, then close the statement. Somebody else has a question. Just close the statement, Dennis. Go ahead, close.
I think that, and by the way, it sounds like he's saying that this could have been a labeling joke, same as if, somebody looks disheveled and they said this person looks homeless or something like that. I mean, I'm not saying whether it's funny or not.
I don't think that's harmful, but okay. Dennis, let's just have Dennis close his statement. Go ahead.
I don't disagree, but let's move forward.
Paige knows what this is about, and you don't, and I'm very sorry, but it feels very one-sided towards Def. In your defense towards everything is more in like Def's favor rather than Papa Gut. Def didn't make just one joke. It's the way he worded things. It's the way that he kept on going on and on and on and on for days. So it's not about these things.
And he's still doubling down that it was okay. I mean, that's something that nobody's really acknowledging.
I don't want to say I'm not taking anybody's side, and like I said,
I think that you are without realizing
those jokes were in poor taste.
But you are, and I understand. Def did something good for you, so you want to have his back. But in cases
I really
like
felt
this,
for Papa when I watched that video. I didn't think it was cool, and it really made me feel like there was a lot of miscommunication going on here, and there's a lot of potentially there's just a lot of distaste for each other. And when that happens,
True,
I
but the
think
thing you have to understand is the distaste from Dennis doesn't come from this isolated incident. When we had our first interaction, it really comes from a conversation where he's yelling and screaming at me while I'm trying to have a conversation with him. There's a
We
lot here. There's a
understood.
lot of history. And I understand that you had a really good interaction with him, and I think that's great. There seems to be times where Dennis can be a good person, but for some reason, he's just not a good person when it comes to me. I don't know why, but like he's displayed that, and that's like the reality of what's happening here. And it's very much all like it's just all over the internet. You can watch my videos. I go in depth on every single thing, right? So that's the
I
biggest issue
understand
there.
that. And I'm empathetic towards that. And I apologize if it sounds like I'm skewing one way or the other. I'm
It's
just
okay.
really trying to let you guys have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like I said.
I'd like to end like Dennis, just a closing statement. I'll close, and then
Yeah, do your thing.
Well, no, you go first.
LB, I'll let you go. Gentlemen, go.
All right, sure. All right, so here's my closing statement. Here's the reality. I've interacted with you for quite a while. After our first interaction, you made a massive mistake that you admitted, right? You've apologized multiple times profusely. At that time, I was being very charitable, and I was taking it as you were being genuine, right? I DM'd you. I said we can get like a beer, this and that. Like I was trying to really resolve that thing despite everybody saying I shouldn't. Moving forward to this, your unprompted targeting of me in this weird way where you admitted that like you were never genuine in the first place has absolutely triggered me understanding, at least when it comes to your interaction with me, that you are wildly dishonest, at least when it comes to me. I don't think that you can, I'm never going to accept the apology because it doesn't come from an actual place of honesty. You've been doing your best to frame this conversation in a really dishonest way. And I don't think that you really care. I think that if nobody gave you backlash, your own community didn't give you a substantial amount of backlash, you would have doubled down and you would have felt powerful about it. But the reality is that I don't feel powerful going after people that I think are weaker than me, because that's what a pathetic person does. I would never do that to the smaller content creator, and I would never disrespect somebody like that. I don't think it's funny to make these types of disgusting jokes. I made one before, even though it was in good context to try to call out a predator, which is something, or an alleged predator, excuse me, which I've used my platform to do multiple times. It was still inappropriate, and I am the reason why people still talk about it, because it is something that I talk about as a failure in my career, okay? But you continuously are doubling down, thinking it's funny to invalidate, and this is what happens when you joke about these things. It's invalidating to abuse victims. Now, I get it. In your sphere, you do you. Anybody can do whatever they want in their sphere. I'm not part of your sphere. It's not appropriate to make pedophile or rape jokes. Other people might think so, and if you want to do that, be my guest, but I think it's disgusting and invalidating, especially as somebody who purports to care about social issues, right? If somebody else who didn't give a fuck about any like politics or something made these jokes, like a lot of the commentary community, I don't really take it as personally, but you pretend to care, and you've shown time and time again that you don't. I don't think you're honest. I don't think that you're genuine, and I think that moving from here, you're going to do your best to reclaim your career. But I'm telling you, Dennis, stop trying to interact with me, and I won't interact with you if you stop talking about social issues. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about, because you are actively having a harmful impact on the social sphere. Your conversation with Christian Walker was insane. You let him get away with everything under the sun. You pushed back like one time. It was disgusting. You didn't push him back at all with like the homophobic shit he was saying whatsoever. Like, you've proven time and time again that you shouldn't be talking about these topics, and that's totally fine. Some people don't have an interest. I think that's totally cool. You shouldn't have an interest. It's fucking insane. But I do, and when you assassinate conversations in like different social narratives over and over again, you've proven yourself that maybe you should stick to talking about how big of a shit Trisha Paytas has taken. That's my closing statement. I'll never accept an apology because I don't think you can be genuine. But if you show me that one day, I'll cut my leg off and I'll send it to you. How does that sound?
Well, that was surely a lot.
That's a closing statement, Def. Thank you.
Okay, you gonna let me talk, or you gonna interrupt me, even in my closing? Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, all right. Sorry, going into the other room. My dogs. So, I mean, you said a whole lot of stuff, and like honestly, there's a whole lot of it that's just like trying to frame me as like the most evil human being in the world and like the worst person ever, and I'm like such a bad person, and like I'm just awful, completely awful, right? According to you, even though we really have never interacted. I mean, we had like that debate, I guess, and then later on we like had, I guess, just about this past week had like somewhat of a Twitter interaction. the people who actually like know me and have met me and are around me like daily know that I'm not like a badly intentioned person. I don't do things to like with the intention of like harming someone or destroying their lives. I try to as best as possible, and throughout these hours that I've been here talking to numerous people, not just you, I've been talking to a lot of different people today and hearing them out and trying my best to like explain where I'm coming from so they can understand where I'm coming from. At the end of the day, I honestly just want to make peace. And if you don't want to accept it for some reason, that's fine. That's your prerogative. Honestly, I don't really want to create more reasons to have conflict, especially on the internet. There's already a lot of negativity, and surely some of my jokes or some of the statements that I made, have helped propagate some negativity. So, at the end of the day, not perfect. Gonna do my best to have better statements in the future. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I just want to. I think it was cool to have you on so that we could essentially, try to make peace and come to an understanding. I know this at certain points was very confrontational. I hope everybody who's been listening, and voiced their thoughts feels like they were able to voice everything that they wanted to voice. I hope everybody who's, been following along for the last few hours was able to, get some insight into what's going on. I really appreciate everybody who stuck around. I appreciate, everybody who spoke. I appreciate Nick, who was a host for a certain time. I appreciate Ari. I appreciate, you, Papa. Everybody else. I like my own tweet. Thank you for stopping by.
Hey, Dennis.
Yeah.
Before you close out, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to moderate. I know, Papa, you don't know me, but I think it was appropriate since there was horrendous and untrue things published about me in the New York Times by Taylor Lorenz. And I am basically the biggest advocate here for people who are unfairly
I
smeared
can't even
publicly.
speak.
I lost my career.
My
and
mic
I
is
was
muted,
in
so I
probably
can't
the
speak
darkest place
because I'd like
of
to
my
talk
entire
about Taylor
life
Lorenz.
after it happened. So I'm extremely sorry that you were both in this situation, and I hope that everyone has a chance to heal and learn from it
okay.
and maybe change and do better moving forward. But anyway, I just want to say thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate
Well,
it. Yeah, and
I'm muted right now,
hopefully
so I guess I
this
get to say
was
whatever I
a
want.
sign of like the things that can be done on the internet. Two people who don't agree with each other
We already
come
played this
together
game, bro.
and try to have a conversation and work things out in public.
Well, I don't want him to unmute me. I'm fine with him making his
I
closing statement.
recently did that with Christian Walker, even though I got a lot of criticism for it. I don't agree with anything he has to say. He is kind of a basket case. There's a lot going on there. I did my best to push back. And at the end of the day, I think it's important to have conversations like this because we all end up kind of understanding each other a little better, and kind of hopefully moving towards a more positive direction as far as discourse goes, because everything is just so divided nowadays. It's just so A and B, and you're the enemy, you're the villain, you're the good guy, So I think it's better to just talk things out so we can all get along, hopefully. So yeah, I want to thank everybody who took the time to listen in and stop by and
I'm very sweaty.
talk and do their
I'm very
thing.
sweaty right now.
And yeah, any final words? Anybody who's here as a speaker? Anybody else want to say anything?
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to take that as that's the end of it. So I'm going to end this very long Twitter Spaces. I think like I said, I think this has been productive, even though
I got to talk
Papa
to
Gut and I
Keemstar.
don't really see eye to eye.
We would have, but you destroyed that
there's
bridge,
somewhat
brother.
of an understanding of where I'm coming from when I do what I do.
Very dishonest place.
And yeah, I
He's
appreciate
unmuted,
everybody
so
who
I'm just
stayed,
talking
who
at this
stopped
point
by, and
to you
I'll
guys.
see all of you very, very soon. I'm gonna go feed my dogs.
Yeah.
Hope all of you have a wonderful end of your day.
Wow.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow. Wow. Incredible. Wow, incredible. Cool stuff. So you know what's really interesting here is that my wife popped in before because I didn't want to, and she popped in and she was like, "Oh, you know, it's funny because he mentioned something about how he doesn't have the time because he's always working to watch full videos, and yet he was able to do like a 7-hour fucking Twitter space to explain how royally he fucked up." Listen, for those of you who might be saying, "Papa Gut, you might have been a little aggressive," I need you to truly understand something. I am an incredibly charitable individual. Okay. Our first conversation, if you watch it, based on our interaction, based on the like what he was trying to do, like, you know, poorly frame me and just trying to take like a rhetorical win because he had a bigger audience, I forgave him for that, and he would have never apologized if his audience didn't realize he was wrong. After that, he admitted openly that he just came on the live recently to troll and call me an incel. That invalidates any genuinity. Everybody else was telling me he's disingenuous, he's disingenuous, he's disingenuous, he's disingenuous. And I was still like, I'll have a beer with the guy. I'll hang out with the guy. I will talk to him. Following up to this conversation, I know people are saying, well, you're being aggressive. Dennis was screaming in the first conversation, and Dennis plays these really dishonest games where he leads the conversation away from a point because he's a coward and he knows he's fucking wrong. I know people are like, "Papa Gut, you should relax." This is like, you guys have to understand when I'm engaging. Like, I know some people might be like, "Papa Gut, you got a little," okay, but you know what? That's what he needs. He is a child. He does need to be spoken to like a fucking child, because nobody in their right mind would have talked to somebody else like that. In their right mind, these heavily insinuated, "Oh, well, you're a pedophile." The jokes about my wife's trauma, basically, insane. It took so much pushing just to get him to actually pretend to apologize. Originally, he's like, "Well, the line's different for different people," and then, "Well, I'm sorry you took it that way," until he finally felt forced to apologize because I wouldn't let him get off with this fucking bullshit. Okay? That's it. That's it. So, listen, I'm not like, yeah, I never wanted this interaction to happen in the first place. Do you think it was stupid? It's dumb. Like, the whole thing was fucking dumb. But I gotta play this. I gotta play this fucking game with Def because he wants to be a slanderous piece of shit. There's almost no way I would ever forgive him. He would have to show real change, but I don't think he ever is going to, because he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He is more interested in looking virtuous than being a moral-centered person. Just the way he framed and said, "I said everybody was stupid," that I agree with Def. What I said was, I understand you guys give him charitability, and I think you're great people, but I know Dennis based on our interactions, and that's not how he interacts with me. Okay? That's it. And I know, like, and Nicholas Diorio, and I want you to be absolutely honest with you. I think Nick is a really good guy. I do, actually. I genuinely think, I like Nick. He's a cool guy. I'm going to meet up with him. If he wants to meet up with me, right? I would think it would be cool because we both live in a similar area. Nicholas Diorio, I think he's a cool guy. And I know that, like, when he was in there, he's like, "This is getting off the rails." But, like, it really wasn't. Based on the way that a lot of people in the commentary community act, like, that makes sense. "Papa, you're getting too angry." I wasn't getting angry. We have a problem in general where people will suppress the way that they feel because they don't want to look weak. I was being very concise, even when I was getting aggravated, even when I was getting more emotionally driven. And I was relaying a point. And Nick, I love you to death. The fact that you think that I was playing the oppression Olympics, like, that I would weaponize, like, bro, when I talk about this traumatic situation, and I'm really tired of talking about it, this is not something that's positive for, like, my relationship. You do understand this, right? It's not something that's fun. "Hey, internet, let's all have the central focus be this." We hate it. But it's necessary to drive home a point. And I don't think Nick meant that in a malicious way. But you have to understand that, like, when I talk about things, it's not to make you feel bad for me. I don't do that. I didn't even want to post that video, but I felt it was necessary to show that weakness that I got a little offended. Well, that I got very upset, right? This isn't like a performative game. People on the internet play performative games, but this isn't like a performative game to me. I'm ready every single day to lose my career as a content creator and go get a real fucking job. That's how I've always tried to interact. Every single time, I do my best to be as genuine as possible. I hate virtue signaling pieces of shit. I will leave if I lose my fucking career for saying something that I really feel strongly about, then that's life, brother. That's life. I'm not trying to do an appeal to people. I don't talk about these things. I don't always go like, did you know this happened? I generally like to advocate, like sexual assault avocation. But you know, that was the biggest problem I had with that conversation, was that, like, my wife even said, this motherfucker, my wife is a fucking asshole. No, she's not. I love her to death, but she's always right. And it's fucking annoying. She says, you should not go into that Twitter Spaces because this is the game Dennis is playing. Now, that's an assumption, but all of her assumptions about Dennis have been 100% correct from the start. And what was the game that we were playing? People were in there running field for Dennis. He was more interested in appealing to those people than to me, over and over again. Well, we've been here for hours. These people were really nice to me. Why aren't you being nice to me? Over and over again. Oh, that's just your experience with me, but I'm a good person. I'm a this, I'm a that. Over and over and over again. This was the rhetorical game, right? And I had to go into it. Because I was like, I want to talk about this. I want to push him on his shit. I hear him running the fence for, oh, these are just jokes. You're not funny. Like, what the fuck? Bro, nobody that's funny needs to tell people that they're funny. Why do you need people to say, I'm funny? I'm a comedian. I'm like Stephen Colbert. You know, like, do you know who I want to be like, truly? Jon Stewart. And I'm nowhere near the man. Jon Stewart is an incredible intellect. He is funny. He's smart. He's sincere. He cares. He's the person I want to be. But I will never be him. But that's like a role model in like my internet space is how gay, fuck you, all right? That's who I want to be. But I would never, I'm just like Stephen Colbert. You're comparing yourself to Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert is an intelligent person that's actually funny. I don't really enjoy him as much anymore. I'm getting older. I enjoyed him. I used to enjoy Stephen Colbert more than Jon Stewart. Now there's a reverse. But you're saying, oh, I'm like Stephen Colbert. What? In what way? What accomplishments do you have? Like you, and listen, if you didn't make the comparison, we wouldn't be here. But what are you talking about? What success do you have? Bro, listen, fuck it. You're sitting here and you're telling people, I studied comedy. I went to comedy school. I have comedic friends. Really? Or do you? Oh, I was standing around talking to all the comedy guys. We were hanging out after a show once. What was it? A Tuesday night that they needed to fill? Like, what do you think that they actually think of you, Dennis? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's insane that you have to keep telling us that you're all so fucking funny. I'm funny as a comedian. I'm a comedian. Insane. What the fuck are you talking about? Why don't you live up to your own moral values? Because you'd be a lot funnier if when people said, Dennis, you're not funny, you say, maybe I should be funny. I saw a little bit of Dennis's bit, and it seems like he's trying to be Curtis Connor. And I'm not even insulting Curtis Connor. I saw Curtis Connor talking about, like, he was doing like a little bit of a bit. I mean, it wasn't like for me, but like people were laughing. He was getting his audience engaged. Like, that's the subjectiveness of comedy. But Def, like, doesn't have an audience that thinks he's funny. His audience is like, Dennis, we don't even, like, dude, in our first interaction, everybody's like, I don't think Dennis, Dennis, I didn't really think you were a comedian. I thought you were just a guy who kind of talks about YouTube drama. That's what your audience is telling you. Right? It seems like you're imitating somebody that's a successful comedian. Curtis Connor is a successful comedian, but unsuccessfully. So shout out to that one girl, or that one person that was running a little defense for me, because we were in a situation where everybody was running defense for Dennis, and I understand their perspective, which is why I'm not mad at them. But like, you know, I know what's going on, and I know that now that Dennis has been called out fully for his shit. He's playing the guys. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a bad guy. Buy my T-shirt of Papa Gut crying. I'm not a bad guy. You get to know the best of a person when they're like right in the middle of their darkest moments. And Dennis has been in his darkest fucking moment every single time we're interacting. And it is unhinged. It is screaming, calling me a pedophile. And even if you think that was, I could have acted better in that conversation, that was the way I act in my more dark moments. You might be like, Papa God, it was a little aggressive. But I'm not going to let some fucking kid push me on shit. We have a problem with fucking grown-ass men acting like fucking kids on the internet. You're 27 years old. Act like it. Be a fucking man. Why is it harmful to call someone a pedophile? Because people will kill pedophiles. Real men will kill pedophiles. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this. This is so bizarre. I feel like everybody knows this. This isn't like I'm a tough guy. Everybody just knows this. This is just a fucking fact of life. So you don't say that shit. Unless you mean it. Those are fighting words. Like, do you understand this? Yes? Well, you said it wasn't damaging because your career is fucking dead. Because your credibility is shot. You're the goofy Trisha Paytas, James Charles guy now. But if it was, but you were trying to use your platform to fucking attack me. Oh, they're just jokes. Who's laughing? Who's laughing, Dennis? But humor's subjective. This is the same guy. This is the same guy who fucking plastered Killick, that young man, 17-year-old young man. And I say he's a fucking man because I talked to him afterwards and he was a fucking man. He was very respectful. He was like, you know what? I made a mistake. I understand what I fucked up about. And his mistake was saying inappropriate shit about someone's sister. He was 15 and he was 17. It's wrong. And I talked to him about it. And I was like, you know, this creates an uncomfortable space for women, etc. And he's like, you know what? I understand. But that was a joke he made. It doesn't matter if it's a joke. It's still inappropriate. Because we have to understand that, oh, it's a joke. It doesn't mean anything. Oh, it's just a joke. Shut up. Shut up. You're talking about Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert constantly uses jokes as vehicles to push real ideologies. That's what political comedians do. George Carlin. But it's just a joke. And yet but Killick's joke wasn't just a joke, according to Dennis. The context is different. Explain the context. I'm taking notes, Dennis, since you went to comedy school. Explain the context. Did you actually think that he thought that she was a porn star? Did he actually think that? Oh my goodness. Do you think that he really thought that, given the context of looking at an Instagram post and thinking that she was older than the brother, which was 16, but still probably understanding that she's not actually a porn star, right? No, that he must be serious. But Dennis constantly going on a campaign saying I'm a pedophile, insinuating it, saying that I wasn't making jokes when I made the one bad joke. And I'm constantly vehemently, I can't even speak, attacking my own joke. That wasn't a joke. You see how we played these manipulation games? Oh, well, you said it wasn't. These can't be jokes. But he's insinuating that I'm not joking. And my joke is still inappropriate, but it doesn't mean it's not a joke. And the context is very available, considering I was trying to call out somebody who did a very bad, or allegedly did a very bad thing. Right? Dennis needs to be exposed, bro. Being a shithead. You're an asshole. So, like I said, Dennis, I don't accept your apology because it's not a real apology. It is, I mean, that's how I interpret it based on the fact that you admitted your last one wasn't real. I don't think you'll ever change. I have no charitability left. And we're ended with this. Okay? I said it in my closing statement, and I will say it again. Okay? Don't leave your fucking lane about a social issue if you don't want me to talk about you. That's it. I have no interest in you, but you carry enough. As far as people saying that I gave him the emotional response he wanted, he was quivering at the end of that. So let's not pretend that he might try to frame it like that, but he was quivering at the end. Because this is what happens. Dennis was screaming in our first conversation. He felt like a big guy. I'm a big fucking man. I'm going to bully somebody with a smaller platform because I like to prey on people I think are weak. That's what he fucking does. That's what weak men do. But the second he realized that I'm not a weak fucking man, and me being charitable to you in that first conversation, that's what a fucking man does. I was hearing you out. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. The fact that that's what I was doing, you thought it was weakness, but it's not fucking weakness, Steph. It wasn't. And then I showed you the way that you need to be treated, and all of a sudden you're quivering. Okay? Stop being a fucking weak man. Bro, shit's pathetic. It fits perfectly into what's going on. It fits perfectly into what's going on right now in this sphere. You got a bunch of fucking young people. You got your Andrew Tates talking about high-value male shit, which is completely centralized on fucking being disrespectful to women. A real man treats women like less than. Get the fuck out of here. That's not a real man. Real men treat people with respect and dignity until they no longer deserve it. That's what a real man does. It's some weak-ass shit to just fucking treat women like less than because you think they're weaker than you. I'm tired of this weak male bullshit. I'm tired of this shit. Because if it wasn't me, if Def was interacting with another content creator and they weren't able to communicate and express themselves the way that I can, what do you think would have happened? Do you think Dennis would have pretended to apologize, or do you think that he would have fucking rolled the shit out of them? He would have fucking ended someone else's career. That's disgusting. That's fucking disgusting. That's what would have happened, bro. That's some weak ass shit, dude. He's creating a space where he doesn't want other content creators who disagree with him to be in. Oh yeah, the fire hydrant thing. You want to know what, dude? This whole fire hydrant argument is probably one of the dumbest arguments I've ever heard. Oh, if I sit at a fire hydrant, can you be one? Well, Dennis, no one can be a fire hydrant, so it's not comparable. If you said somebody could be something that they could be, that a person could be, then yes, that's comparable. Not for nothing, and I know Def didn't mean it this way, but that's the same argument that conservatives use to dismiss trans people. Oh, well, if you said you were a cat, do you think you could be a cat? No, you fucking moron, because people can't be fucking cats, but people can be boys and they can be girls. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, this is the cognitive dissonance. Do you understand? Well, if I called you a fire hydrant, like, who do you... And you know what's incredible? People are like, Dennis, I never thought of that before. Dennis, this makes so much sense to me, because no, you wouldn't think they were a fire hydrant. But if you said they were a cook, yes, someone might think that if you call somebody a cook, that they might be a fucking cook. And then instantly, yeah, you realize that your argument was dumb. But it's not bad to be a cook, other than the pay. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to become a cook. God bless you for doing it. But goddamn, you guys are underappreciated. A chef. Same fucking argument.
Like, can you be a cat? If someone says that they were a superhero, then how come? That's why you can't be trans, because people can't be cats.
Get the fuck out of here, bro. What kind of dumbass bullshit is that? Fucking insane, Dennis. Oh my god.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Sure. So, I mean, I guess you didn't really enjoy. I mean, I doubt you even heard it, but I guess you didn't enjoy my post-debate coverage.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
What was it on Twitter?
No, here I'm still live.
Oh, yeah. I saw like one thing. I thought you guys were talking about me. So like, yeah, I figured I'd pop in. No,
I absolutely was.
No bad blood, of course. No bad blood. Hold on, Bull Blacks, talk for a second.
I'm burning the bridge, bro. I'm burning.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead. Give me the bridge burn. Give me the bridge burn. Go
No,
ahead.
it's dude, you totally cocked me so hard tonight. Holy shit, bro.
What do you
the
mean?
fuck? Dude, I waited like 3 hours to get in this fucking phone call.
The call's
and
about
then-
me.
Yes, and I was winning, and then you
Oh,
come
my
in,
Lord.
and then you're just like, "Can you hear me?
Well,
Can you hear
listen,
me?" You
Nick.
said you weren't gonna go on.
I tweeted about it. I took a shit, and then I was going to go on. If you had said, Papa Gut, I am currently battling Deaf Noodles one-on-one, I would have stepped out. I didn't realize that you... I didn't...
Part is, wait, I debated him on something, and he didn't even change it because I know you weren't listening, so that's why I'm like kind of sympathetic to this because I know you weren't listening because he put you in the same trap he tried to put me in, and if you watched me do it, you would have evaded it when he was trying to get you to say it was funny, like that kids get raped or something.
Yeah, no, I know.
He did the same shit to me, and I was like, dude, this is so easy. What the fuck? And I just finished my debate with him. Holy shit!
I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to cuck you. I was out all night with my beautiful wife. We went swimming. We went out to eat. We came home. I took a dump, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna try to load this up and get this going with this Twitter Spaces thing." So then I came on.
Dude, so my biggest issue with your conversation, because I'm going to
Sure.
continue. My biggest issue with your conversation is you won the first one so decisively because Dennis was such a piece of shit to you.
Okay.
You didn't really have to say much. Everything he said was the reason why you looked so good in that conversation. He was like
Okay.
losing his fucking mind. In this one, you came in harder and you got
Yes.
to say your points that you actually wanted, but it looked the opposite way. Like, that's
Why?
my issue. Because, like, what was that? Dennis, have you ever loved anyone before? What the fuck was that?
Okay. So this, I fucking knew it's gonna be. Listen, okay. Was that like the biggest one for you? The Dennis, have you? Because
I don't know why we got so bogged down on stupid shit like the
because Dennis wanted to keep moving away from the point that I was making because he knew it was going to make him look bad. And this is something he did in the first conversation. So I held him to a point. The question, like, he desperately tried to say that, like, he thinks the joke is still okay. I think he still does think, and like, you do you, but like, he knows that, like, if you said that, you don't really engage in the way Dennis pretends to care about everybody and everything. Oh, I care.
I
Right?
agree with you. His joke, literally, that he claims is a joke, says that you were quote unquote joking about fucking a child.
Yeah.
So if that's a joke to him, then he's joking about you
I see
fucking
what
a
you're saying.
child. So, like, yeah, obviously, like,
Either way, it's an appeal to emotion, right? So that was the whole thing with Dennis. The idea is that he doesn't seem to give a shit about, like, where the situation came from. So I was asking him that question because he was downplaying it as much as possible. So I was trying to get people, and maybe they won't align with you, but people that watch me are a little bit more.
Blind people are probably stoked as fuck how that debate went. I'm not even.
People are
lying.
what? Well, no, I mean,
Blind
like,
people probably love you after that convo. I'm not.
well,
like,
I know what you mean. Like, though that's what I mean. Though, like, I share more of an audience with, like, Ethan Klein than I do with you guys. You guys are good guys. You guys are a little edgier than me, right? I wasn't trying to get Ethan Klein's audience, but, like, that's probably the people that would identify with me more. I'm a little less edgy. I am a little edgy, but I'm not, like, so obviously that I'm trying to communicate my thing to people. Some people aren't going to identify with it, and that's okay. But, like, that was a very necessary thing because he was trying desperately to walk off this conversation. That was, like, a very real point, and he wanted to deny it desperately.
there was just so many appeals to emotion when there were so many facts you could have fucked him on. That's my problem.
I think
There
I
was
got.
so much
I think I got him
emotion.
on. Well, but the appeals to emotion were a conversation about a fact, right, in a way that he interprets. So if this for somebody that pretends to care about, like, assault survivors, this shows like a cognitive dissonance. This shows that he has no moral center when it comes to joking about these things. So
Sure.
yeah,
Why did we get stuck for, like? Because it took me. I was watching the clock. I'm like, I was screaming at my chat. I'm like, when are we going to talk about the pedophile allegation? It was like 30 minutes of talking because we spent like a.
well,
shitload
that's
of
where he
time
wanted to
about-
start.
No, I understand that, but like we got bogged down on whether, like, he made your channel like that. There was no reason why anything in that conversation needed to go as long as it did. It's
So
talking in a
sure,
circle.
that's just talking to Dennis, right? This is the thing. He wanted to start at the beginning. I'm totally fine with that. So we started at the beginning, and every time he lies and has a poor framing of a thing, I press him on it, right? I know it.
Yeah, so you pressed him on every little thing.
Yes,
and it
because
fucked the whole
he.
conversation.
I don't think it fucked the conversation. That Dennis is what he likes to do is he likes to pretend that he has, like, a point. You will start with a very basic point, a question, and he evades it so that he can look more virtuous, right? So I'm calling him on a shit. That's what he did in the first debate.
Yes,
It becomes a jumbled mess.
I get that, that's what you do in a post debate where you point that out.
No, but
you
this
do
wasn't
it
like a
in the
debate
moment,
debate.
You literally loop the whole fucking time.
Sure.
Because and then that's all it was. That's why I was getting so frustrated.
I
He's like,
can understand why it's
can't believe
frustrating.
Deaf Noodles squealed out going like, Nick, can you help me? This
Well,
guy
that was
hates me."
funny. That was funny. But that's the thing. That's why I knew this fucking Twitter space thing was going to be annoying as shit, because he was playing a game where he gets to try to appeal to the audience. Papa Gut's a mean guy, all this other bullshit. He's calling on you because the reason he's calling on you isn't because he likes you or he thinks that you're
No,
like
not at all,
it's
yeah.
because it makes him look like he is somebody that's reasonable to say, Nick, can you help me? See, we agree and you don't like me, so that must mean I'm right. That's every single game that Dennis was playing the entire time. And by the end of the conversation, last time he was screaming the entire time like a big boy. This time he was quivering. Because Dennis is like a weak person. He's a weak man, and he likes to try to bully people he thinks are weaker. That's why the first time he's sitting here playing, I'm a bigger content creator, I can say whatever I want, and then he loses that. And then it happens again, but this time I don't let him get away with saying whatever he wants, and then all of a sudden, he's not screaming anymore. He tries
What
to.
happens though when you start to do this and you pull him on every single like string that he gives you is that you end up you loop back and around and around and around, and
Yeah, okay.
somewhere along the way the fucking conversation gets lost.
Sure,
When
but
I
that's his
when I was
fault.
talking to him, yeah, it is his fault.
No.
But the viewer doesn't see it as his fault. They see it as these are two idiots fighting.
I disagree with that.
You don't think that that's how people are going to walk away from that when you guys are like just saying the same thing over and over again?
I think that some people could interpret it as that, for sure. But I think a lot of people listened to that and saw what I said. Like, when he would say a wrong thing, I would say, what you're saying is wrong. And he'd be like, well, he would have a meltdown. I know it's going to loop, but I'm calling you out on like a wrong thing. You're having a wrong framing of a thing intentionally. It's the only thing I can assume. So like, yeah, some people might say that it might be looping. I get that. And I think that you guys might look at it more from as a debate perspective, but I'm looking at it more as like a conversation perspective.
My approach to it was I went in there with two topics I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to get to them in any way, shape, or form I can do that. So I edged the conversation to get to what I needed to get to, and then I waited for his response. I realized it was terrible, and then I fought him on it for like a second longer and said, okay, I got what I needed. You look like an idiot. I guess we could agree to disagree there, move on to the next point.
Okay.
And then this gets to every single topic. Like, the real shit with you and Deaf Noodles is that he literally implied that you're a pedophile.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think the long-standing conversation on whether he thinks he made your channel, which, I mean, we all know that he didn't make your fucking channel, really contributes.
Well, let me ask you a real question. Do you think that I was like offended by the suggestion that he made my channel?
Not in a meaningful way.
Because it was more.
This guy talking about.
Well, it was more of like, okay, so like what it was to me was like, it's very clear that he implied that he like created my channel and blew me up. That doesn't bother me that he thinks that, but he's desperately trying to reframe it as if like he was just making a silly comment when he knows that in this sphere that's a call out to somebody, right? And so like that's why I'm pushing on the point. It's not because I'm offended by the point. I don't give a fuck about that. It's because I know that I can lock him and make him look very dishonest.
Yeah, but the problem is he was out here telling people all fucking day long, I don't have any problem with Papa Gut. I don't have any problem with Papa Gut.
Yeah,
I have
okay.
no. It would be weird if I held a grudge against Papa Gut. And then when people asked him why he was mad at you, his response was, oh, Papa Gut made 21 videos on me. He talks about me constantly on Twitter. He tweeted about me 5 times in one day. And you know what? Finally, I had enough and I responded. And my response was to joke about him being a pedophile. And then it's like, well, wait, hold on just a second, Dennis. You've just explained as to why you did that. It wasn't because you had a really funny joke you wanted to tell. It's because you got mad and spitefully called the guy who was accused of being a pedophile because he made 20 videos on you when you make 100 Keemstar videos a year. Yes. Like,
That's true.
like, yeah, that's like.
Well, listen. I'm sure that there are some really great points. You just proved it, that you would have brought up to get him in that sense. But then, of course, there's points that you probably wouldn't have made that I'm going to make as well. Right. So, like, yeah, I get what you're saying. There's definitely things I could have pushed him on. And then if you didn't have the conversation, if I wasn't there, there's probably things I would have said to you that you should have pushed or could have. But also, like, I'm the primary focus. And like myself and Deaf Noodles are the primary focus. So I'm coming in with like a different thing. I could have done better, I guess, tactics, but I wasn't thinking of it that deep. Like I wasn't.
Yeah, I guess I just fundamentally disagree with like the back and forth of like.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Again, I'm not gonna be as flagrantly fucking rude about it when I'm talking to you, but like this constantly of bringing up your wife was just like driving a stake through my skull.
I did want to talk about that because you did say something about like oppression Olympics basically.
Yes.
I do want to talk about that. And I don't think that you mean like anything negatively by that. And I don't want to talk too much about the specifics of my wife because it's like
went from like an argument that you guys were having to like, no, I care about victims more.
No, but
I care about victims
this is
more.
the thing is that I think that like maybe that's how you guys are interpreting it. That's not. I don't think that that's how a lot of like my audience or myself is interpreting it. It's the thing is that I'm trying to say like, listen, you made this joke about this thing, and this thing has a negative impact on like survivors, right? And like I do make a lot of content about that kind of shit. Like I talk about like, a lot about like rape culture and like sexual assault survivors. And so Dennis also will occasionally drop a video where he pretends to care about these topics as well, right? So now we're in more of like an ideological space where like this is about like how can you pretend to care about particular social topics when you're literally joking about rape, right?
Why does he pretend to care about those social topics? How do you know he doesn't actually care about them?
Well, for the first and foremost, I don't think that, well, okay, first, at the first point, okay, is our original conversation. I tried to have a nuanced discussion about like racism when it came to that situation, as well as like weaponizing sexual assault, et cetera, to try to deplatform somebody. And then he doesn't care. He just wanted to move on from it. It was obviously a dishonest conversation. We move forward to the whole thing with like Tumed and the Belle Delphine, removing agency from Tumed and boiling him down to his identity because him being manipulated by Belle Delphine in some capacity. So the joking, I
know you walked really hard into like a big fucking like trap that he put you in, right? Like
what trap is that?
You said like I have never done that to a victim. Like I've never openly I forgot what was the wording on that. Do you remember, Bo Blacks? I have if he's even here.
I don't think I know what you're referring to. I don't think that that's a trap. Like, and he might have thought it.
I don't think it was on purpose, but then you immediately followed that up with, except for that one time.
Well, but that wasn't the tone, right? So what I had said, he's like, "Did you ever do this?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." And then I remembered, "Oh, actually, I did."
Yeah, that was
right.
So
no.
bad.
I don't think it was that bad. Because then it gets into a conversation about, okay, what's the difference between this and that? Well, in my situation, I very quickly realized that I fucked up, and I very quickly apologized. In this situation, he's continuously doubling down on the bad joke. Hold on, if he thinks that what I did was bad, then that means what he did has to be bad if he's going to be morally consistent, right? So him saying what I did was wrong, but what he's doing is okay, shows a level of cognitive dissonance. And that's the angle that I'm working from there. And even later, I reinforced that he could genuinely apologize if he wanted to. And like, I get that, but he was dancing around it. I'm sorry that we have, different people have different lines for jokes, and I'm sorry you are offended by that, right? Yeah. So he was exposing like his moral focus was being exposed, and like I guess we just have like we operate like a little bit differently, and it's not in a bad way, right? Maybe I appeal more to somebody's moral foundation, and you appeal more to like logic, if that makes sense. I don't think it's wrong if we did the same thing in the conversation. Then one of us is unnecessary, right?
Yeah, I understand that. It's just I just struggled with that one because it felt like you kind of stumbled right into that really hard. And then because he wasn't trying to say, because I understand what you're saying now. It's like, well, if he admits that, then that means he thinks that what he's doing is bad. Yeah. But that gave him easy in to say like, oh, Papa Gut's a hypocrite. Look at this. He's God, he's literally weaseling right now. See, can you believe that he just weaseled?
Right. And then he keeps talking, and that's when I talk over him because I know he's playing a disingenuous game, right? So like I understand where you're coming from. There's some people that could view that as the way you're viewing it, which makes perfect sense. But after this, I think that at the very least, because when you say like you could have got him on this, that, and that, I'm saying, yeah, you're probably right. And then like obviously my way of like coming about the conversation was different, but I think you're at least understanding where I'm coming from and the way that like I'm operating, right? So that's really what it boils down to. Is just like a difference in, I guess, it's not even a tactic, because I wasn't going in with a tactic. I was like, what does this motherfucker want to talk about? Because I know he's gonna give me some bullshit fucking nonsense. If he had played that, he was like, you know what? Here's where I fucked up, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't have had nothing, bro. And I would have been like, okay. And I would have just been, that was it in it. We would have been done. But he didn't. He tried to weasel on everything. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.